It's rolling.
Do you
That's the
start
problem.
recording as soon as we start?
We're recording now.
Oh, but I mean, that can't be the beginning of the visa.
It can't. That's what I'm
But I was
saying.
saying, my son, taxi driver, they operate under this veil of safety. Good ngumzulu, man. Taxi driver. Yeah, but most of them are pussies. Just jump out and smack one.
It's a very
Then you
good
see.
point.
Yes.
You're right.
There will be
Okay, no,
that
come on,
one who will jump out when you jump
Good
out.
point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yes.
It's almost like a boys' club. So even
Oh.
the new nigga that's in there, he's just protected by this idea.
Yeah,
oh,
who is a taxi
he's
driver?
And
No.
you're like, nah, nigga, but
You've got a microphone?
You know who's more dangerous?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uber
you
drivers
put Caesar
and
Elon
Bolt
on my-
drivers.
They more?
They've
sorry about
become more
Caesar, by the way.
dangerous.
But we'll
Because
talk about it afterwards.
they've got WhatsApp. Taxi drivers are still moving with those
Stop doing that
Tamagotchi
to Caesar,
phones.
man.
Nah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Those ones
Caesar
have
needs to
got
understand
WhatsApp.
where our
Drop it in
heart
a
is.
group.
So Maksug in Dab, they send a WhatsApp out and they say, "Hey, I'm on the corner of
You're
Grayston and
rolling,
Santon
you're rolling.
Drive.
Okay.
Nangu Penuel
We're about to hit-
Sugel." Next thing, do 10 fucking bolts pull up. You know what I mean? Some Zimbabwean, some it's like an African unity thing.
Okay.
Okay,
We're
awesome.
about to start Konvo with Warrick stock.
From after this clip.
Umfana Sefrahed. Okay.
Those are the.
Before we started, I actually stopped you because I wanted to hear your thoughts on. Even though this topic really drains me, by the way, I just need you to
Have
know
we started
officially.
now?
We're starting officially. I clapped. Oh, come on. How many times must I clap? The Twitter storm. I didn't want to speak about the Twitter storm, about the Expropriation Act and Trump and those things. I actually wanted to hear just your thoughts generally on the new Trump presidency and Elon Musk looking like his vice president or even like his handler. That's actually what I wanted to ask. But I don't know if you want to share your thoughts on Twitter and the bot accounts and those things.
I'll start with the Trump thing. You know that's my guy. To this day, he's
To
still
this day.
my wallpaper. That's right.
You're a fucking sellout. Are you also chucking with Amapunu too?
Gubhangi indawo. Namabhunu futhi abayindawo. They'll stay here. When that offer was made, I tweeted and I said, you know what, guys? It's cute that you think these people are going to go. They will go nowhere. Because Afrikaners are very patriotic in their own way. Yeah, Kumbula, they think that this is their place.
The fatherland.
Yes. And you might think it's your place as a black person and they are guests here. They don't see it like that.
Sure.
Now, you can call it racist, you can call it delusional. Oksalayo, that's how they think. They're not leaving. They love this place. Even if they love it for themselves.
Sure.
I think there's this expectation by black Twitter that Afrikaners must love it for all of us. And that's the difference. You know, Mandela's dream was that let's love this place for all who live in it. And their dream is like, let's love this place for ourselves because it's our place and we discovered it and we built it up and we made it. You understand? Now, I'm sure we can agree. That one is not going to fly. Do you know what I mean?
What won't fly?
Like the fact that they think ukuthi indawo yabo.
Is that wrong?
It's not that it's wrong. It's that it's like, you know, you didn't like build it alone.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't you think I'm a Zulu? Think
A
what
case
Zulu
in
is
point.
this?
Wait, case in point.
Sure.
Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance, right? The message that sort of came out of it, I was reading this, right? I didn't go deep into his performance. I thought it was balls. The clips that I saw, I was
I thought it was boring, and many
Yes.
Kendrick fans are getting very angry, and we
of
apologize.
course
We
they
all
would,
love
but
Kendrick,
they're
man.
Kendrick fans, and that's fine.
The,
I also love
the
Kendrick.
performance as a performance was boring.
There we go. And there was a part of the performance which, like, you know, when people are like commenting, you know, those pundits in America, those leftist ones, they're like, yeah, I love that the performance showed that America was built on the backs of black people. And I'm like, that's a bit of a reach. Do you know what I'm saying?
How's it a reach?
Hey, guys, boss, that's a reach. I'm not even going
Was
to.
it not built off the black of the back,
No.
the black
No,
of the
it
backs
wasn't.
of the back of the blacks?
Ha! Yabo. As a starting point, let us start with no, that is not correct. It's not to say Uguti, the slaves that they brought into the country to farm their crops and do the work that slaves did had no contribution. But you cannot have Silicon Valley on the back of black people.
Yeah, it's from the cotton over time compounded.
Right. Yeah, and then they made money. But like you see, how far are we going to reach back before we
You're
just say,
saying
guys?
you don't think black slaves built America?
No, I don't think black slaves built America.
Who built America?
Americans, all of them,
The
from
Spaniards.
Andrew Carnegie all the way down to the black slave. I think it was a joint operation. I don't think it's fair to say
the British and Afrikaners here.
Who built South Africa?
who. No, again, I think it was a joint operation. If the Afrikaners took over from the British.
So we can't say black people built South Africa.
No, we
According
can't
to
say black people built South Africa
you,
alone.
you're saying it was Cecil John Rhodes
I am saying
and the Oppenheimers.
any place that's built to be successful is built by all involved. You cannot discount one's contribution to what we have now.
The slave master and the slave.
Yes. So in other words,
You must
when they
also
came up
credit
with
the
the
slave
idea,
master.
when they came up with the idea for ESCOM or ISCO, when they decided we're going to import skills here so that we can industrialize our mining, and we're going to bring in Germans, and we're going to bring in flippin' Filipinos, and we're going to bring in
Malaysians. And Indians.
Right. When they had those ideas, what are we saying? Are we saying, fuck that idea, it was a black person's idea, they stole it?
But it's the back. They broke
What
the
is the
backs
back?
of the slaves.
No. What is the back?
Wait, if
And
I ride a horse
this is
to-
not to say that
Okay.
black people did nothing. That's the problem is with the Afrikaner narrative, if you notice. They always come from a perspective of, ach man, julle het fokol gedoen man.
Yes.
Ons het julle alles gegee. That's also wrong.
Yes.
One is coming with an extreme that blacks built the place, fuck you guys. And the other one is coming with an extreme like blacks did absolutely nothing, they just destroyed
No,
the
black
place.
people took instruction. That's what we did.
Where?
You agree with Warras? Tibugo Kibine. Sorry, I just want to make sure. Kibine. You're agreeing with Warras?
That is a good point by
The
Debza.
the slave master and the architect is more important than the labor.
No, they're equally important, but we need to.
Equally important. So you agree with Warras?
Yeah,
They are actually equally
they're all
important.
equally important, but we
Yes.
need to dissect good low and zen.
So going back to the
Yes.
Kendrick reference, because Kendrick was explaining something like, "Look, we built this country not
No.
on our own, but it was us
He
that was
said,
picking
no, he didn't go into the not on our own part. He said, we built this country.
And
then
he's
the
right.
No, he's not.
He's
but
not right.
but he didn't say alone.
Yeah, he didn't say alone, but he
But the
insinuated.
celebration insinuates that it's alone.
Yes. And I feel like that's very dangerous because, case in point, the bots on Twitter, they run with that narrative. When Trump made the offer to the Afrikaners to come there, every black Twitter account and every bot account was saying, yeah, mabahambe, we don't need them, leave the land and just fuck off. And I'm like, no, that's dumb. First of all, they're not going to go. But if we're going to get into that, I think that's stupid. You can't just say these people must all go. Let's in. What the fuck? The place will fuck out in a matter of months.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
As it
Ah,
has
keep in
already
again.
been gradually
Yes,
fucking
the
out.
place will fuck out.
We need to be very realistic. Yeah.
Let me give you this example. Asiti, let's say all of the black labor in the labor force right now says, fuck it, we're not working, we're done. The mines will close. You can have all the IP in your brain as Anglo. Yeah. The mine will close if all the black labor there in Northwest or fucking Limpopo, wherever their mine is, says, we are out, we're not doing it. Where are they going to get the labor force? Are they going to go recruit whites? They won't find enough. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not to say they are equally important, but they're equally important. You can't do one without the other. And the quicker we realize that, the faster we'll be on the path to actually achieving something, because we're not achieving anything by coming with an Idi Amin style where he kicked all the Indians out and he said, the Indians are taking everything, fuck them, they must go back to India. The place fell apart. Mugabe told the people in Zim, guys, we're taking back the land, go and grab whichever farm you like. You whites, fuck off. Collapse. Till this day, it's collapsed. They were begging white farmers to come back and farm. And it's not because they are white. I think once we also just take the race thing out of it, it's not because they are white. It's because for generation after generation after generation, they have spent the time, effort, and energy learning the skills needed to farm land. You can't just throw those skills away because you went to university and now you also want to farm. These people have been farming for 3-4 generations on that very land. Let's keep them. But let's find a way to work which is equitable. And that's not what we're doing. We're saying, you farmed here for the longest time. Give it to me now, you fuck off. From government's perspective, when they make these announcements, they do so with a political plan in mind. They want to buy people. That's what they do. They fool people and buy them with SASSA grants and promises that are all actually bullshit when you actually get to the practical use of them. And that's also dangerous because in the mind of the average black voter of the ANC, when Cyril says something like, when President Cyril Ramaphosa,
Hey,
he's my dude. Yeah, I don't have any intention to disrespect that guy. I like him. He's a nice dude. I told you before in a podcast.
As a person?
As a person, he's a lovely oak.
Okay.
So ange ngimkhulumela masimba yabo. Ngimbiza uCyril, ngimbiza uCR nabantu benza kanjalo. I don't like that. He is still the president. Kodwa ke, it doesn't make him immune to criticism. And the criticism I would make is when they plan these statements that they make, they do so because they know it's going to get the people going. But it's irresponsible in that, in the mind of that voter, they are thinking it means everyone uzothola stand. Me, na stand ga Penuel. Me, na stand ga Debs. Me, Warras, na li plus. That is not.
Why is Warras getting a plus in Tinas Tolama stand?
I mean, woman.
No, but what was you? That was intentionally. That hurt.
Debs me, na I plot. Penuel me, Warras, wasn't fun, and I leave plus. Debs, I want you to touch on two things, man. The first one being, fuck, what were the two things?
Debs me, na li plus. Makelwana ga sizwe dlom. Me.
Warras is alluding to an idea. And I know he's saying it's not race, but I do think it's race because he used Idi Amin as a reference. He used Robert Mugabe as a reference. And these are the threats.
Bad policy.
These are the threats that white people keep making.
Yeah.
That if you guys chase us away, it's gonna fuck out.
Yeah.
Are we now beholden to them because we need them? Number one, which means they can't leave. Mm-hmm. And the other question was going to be, do you believe that black people cannot build on their own in the modern world? In the old world, we had no choice, of course, there was no one here. Are you also of the same belief?
Currently, right now, black people, we are not showing capabilities that we can build on our own. As a unit, we've got individuals that are doing it. I mean, Dangote is there, the richest black person on earth. He's
brilliant.
There. We've got a lot of examples, man, you know. But I think collective, we've got an issue of a collective. I think that's where our issue is as black people.
And that collective up until now is only useful when you say, Ambanyo she's.
Exactly. The collective has got a very violent aspect to it, you know. It's what, I think one of our guests, we spoke about that, you know, the Zulu nation needs to go through a cleansing because their identity is still based on violence. And I think that black people generally, our collectiveness is based on Mshayeni, Hambanyo Shiza, who do this. But it hasn't been that, no, how do we then build a township economy together? We're still not reformed in that manner. So
without me trying to fuck over Penuel in the deal.
Yeah, directly, I don't think right now, collectively, black people can come together. And
white people are right to threaten us that we're going to turn into Zimbabwe.
No, they're not. But we didn't get to that part. Remember,
that was my first part. Guti, do you think if you use Idi Amin and Mugabe as references, they are well within their rights? Because you guys who are not white are saying the same thing, that we don't want them to leave because the country will collapse.
No, but white people are saying it. When I'm using Idi Amin and Mugabe as references, right? I'm using references where this has been tried and it failed. And I welcome you to use a reference where it's been tried and it succeeded. You can go from here to Egypt. It has never worked anyway.
So white people are right?
No, white people are backed by evidence. You can't argue with
right.
it. It doesn't mean they are right because we haven't tried it.
They're wrong.
How can somebody be right about something that hasn't happened?
And it's because of the reference.
No, but the reference is merely evidence for your argument.
But that's what you're arguing. You're saying they can't leave because we need their skills.
I'm saying they can't. Yes, I'm saying they can't leave because we need their skills. Because
Otherwise
their skills because their skills are within them. So if we throw them away, we're throwing the skills away.
And we'll collapse.
We will collapse.
So they're right in saying that.
They are right in saying that based on the evidence. But I can't tell the future. So I can't with confidence say it will definitely collapse.
Of course.
But there's like a 99% chance that it will collapse.
Now you agree.
Yeah. Nothing is guaranteed. Penuel wants me to tell the future.
No, it's not the future. The reason I ask is because there's a lot of black people who are like, no, go, we'll sort it out.
They're lying, bro.
Relax. Yeah. And I'm just saying, we don't hear black people saying what you guys are saying. We might hear black people saying nice things like, no, we must all live here together. They don't say things like a white person saying, hey, these guys can't leave because the country will fuck out. No one has said that. No politician or anyone has said, guys, We don't want them to leave. They are brothers, whatever. But we also don't want them to leave because the country will collapse. No one has said that as Utaki. And you guys are saying
No,
that.
bakona bashir.
No, but not a lot of it. It's like, when you make this statement, they're Cyril, ne? Like what the statement
To our
made about
president
Cyril Ramaphosa,
President
please, sir.
Cyril,
Oh, now we are Hlonipa.
President Ramamin.
Tony.
Rama what?
President Ramaphosa.
Nebong.
When you make that statement, ne? And Warras is right, in fact, obviously they're playing on the masses. But you must understand as a politician, when I make this statement, what does it actually mean? I'm part of BRICS. There's a radical guy that's in the USA that's saying, make America great again. And I make this statement. And there's AfriForum. It's almost like, what, do you not have advisors when you make such ridiculous statements? Are you not thinking?
You're playing right into their hands.
What are the ridiculous statements?
No, I'm saying he couldn't back up the whole the land reform thing.
Expropriation.
They're irresponsible statements. Because it's like
Which irresponsible statements?
It's irresponsible because if you try to frame an entire 256-page bill into a tweet, it's unlikely that you're going to get across the full message of the bill. So when you say, I'm signing the land expropriation without compensation bill into law, everything can be read on the government website. People respond to the headline. That's how News 24 built its business. They say something, the article is rubbish, but whatever it is that they say gets clicks.
Because it was about land, they should have approached it.
So
differently.
now I'm saying, can we run the presidency as a tabloid? We cannot. We need to be responsible in the way we run the presidency. That shit has been trending for 2 weeks from here to America to Australia. It was irresponsible.
It is. Because after that tweet, after you make that statement, ne, and the tweet and whatnot, you must have a flip. You must go to all podcasts in the whole country and explain this thing.
Who must go to podcast?
The president.
He'll never do that.
Exactly. He
But
hasn't
that's-
even been to
but
one.
that's the problem
But he can
with
send. He
offense.
can send people.
The fact that no one has come out to actually break. We needed to hear from lawyers to break down this thing, what it actually means. But you know that in South Africa, the two things that are an issue: race and land. You know that when you say the race thing, it's going to have a huge effect.
Yeah.
Do you think Ramaphosa and his team are currently being arrogant by not treating this with it's like, no, we're not going to be told by AfriForum. And he said things like, we will not be bullied.
I don't think that
Because the bully becomes, explain yourself. And it's like, hey, this is normally how we announce acts. This is not an act I decided on my own. This went through parliament. It went through all the... I didn't just wake up and snap my fingers because otherwise parliament can shut down tomorrow. I'll be taken to court.
But
And he's like, you're not gonna
nobody
tell me.
Nobody reading it followed that whole process. Therefore, it's irresponsible to make the statement like the way they did. They even came out and tried to cover up to say, no, guys.
That's what it means.
This is what it means. But that didn't work. And my thing is, when you say, are they being arrogant? I don't think that they are in a position to be arrogant. You see, you can be arrogant to a fault, but you're not playing with your house in Bantry Bay, your house in Sandhurst, your billionaire status as an individual. You are playing with the lives of 60 million people who are not so fortunate. It's like I live on the top floor of arguably, not to flex, but a very expensive apartment building adjoining the Marriott Konvo. You understand?
Yes.
From my vantage point, I have 2 DM4 rifles and I have about 200 rounds of ammunition. I've got handguns. I can even get hand grenades. If the shit hits the fan and the swart khavar comes, like the Afrikaners say, I can stand on my balcony and I can be fine for at least 3 days. You understand what I'm saying? And I can rack up bodies
Sure.
if it's a war. But you don't have those guns.
Sure.
So when I'm out here and you're trying to explain, no, guys, I'm with you, they're just going to fuck your shit up anyway. They're going to say, Fusekwen, Penuel, you had Warras on your podcast, now we are burning your house. Because at the point at which the mob comes, the mob is not coming with the 260-page policy document. They're coming with a tweet that says, this is ours now, fall off.
There's a
You see?
reason. The reason why I asked, sorry, Debs, I hit your thing.
No,
And
so-
I'm not saying that's going to happen. Just
Yeah.
to qualify, I'm speaking to what Penuel was saying, in that there is an entire bill that went through Parliament that ended in the tweet announcing it. And I'm saying the way that people receive that information and what whites fear, in inverted commas, is the scenario I just played out. You see, so we're not all going to be protected the same. And I think it's irresponsible of him because he is lucky enough where him and pretty much everyone in government, they're multi-millionaires, these people. They can leave tomorrow on a chartered flight with their families and we'll be stuck here fighting a war we actually don't even know what it's about Sizwedlomo's farm. How can we be in a fight for Sizwedlomo's farm? Or Vickas's farm? Because now everyone's farm becomes fair game. You see what I'm saying? Everyone's farm is fair game. It's
almost like I was trying to figure out how many people are employed because of the AGOA trade with America. But maybe you'll find it there. You know this thing is
You're
like
asking me to search.
Yeah, I was trying to search it, but
maybe you'll find
make
it there. I think so.
Ikhona clip ka Gates and McKenzie la ikhuluma khona.
Or you mean in fact check umsuzo.
Guess what I'm saying, Penzo? It's like, you know, when black people say, no, these people can live, we'll survive on our own. But once people call your bluff, and you have no alternative of how you're going to survive, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So our president, when he made that statement, he should have thought of, in fact, how many people are employed by USAID? How many people are employed by AGOA? If Trump says, oh, clever, no problem.
Cut.
Let me read here.
And I've got the responsibility to do it because I'm the president of America.
Yeah.
I hold the responsibility to decide what happens here. Does Cyril have a plan for probably 100,000 people that are employed by that thing, whatever the number is? You can't make these statements and not think of what is going to come from it.
I think it's more.
Partly what happened, I think, is that
Mike?
He did, it's right here.
Sure.
He did exactly the same thing that he does in this country all the time, which is just rhetoric, right? But I think, they don't understand. He doesn't understand. They are now dealing with another type of man, like in Trump, or another type of politician who's so badly wants to see results, because they're still playing the other game, where the game is not about results, right? It's just about, I'm going to say these things and I'm going to get maximum support. Trump has got the maximum support. Now he's like,
and the money.
And the money. He just wants to see results.
And he's also delivering on everything that he promised. Because Trump, like what you said, Trump's interests start and end with putting America first. And you can see it in the way that he's applying things like tariffs, in the things that he promised on the campaign trail. Like a good one for me, which the media did their level best to demonize, is when he said, why are we covering 80% of the bill for NATO in terms of the money we give? But you as Germany, who kind of uses its resources the most, you are covering 3%. It doesn't make sense. We are going to pull back funding. You guys must start funding it more. You have the money because this asset is most useful to you. It's the North American Trade Organization, but it kind of is mainly in Europe. They are all the way in North America, the continental, the geographic distance from the benefits of NATO. It's not hitting America. All they are doing is they're giving the army, the military resources and the money. And he was like, this doesn't make sense for America. So I'm pulling out. Remember, he made that threat. Then they shut themselves. They started panicking. No, you can't do that. And he was like, but why? We are not drawing any of the benefits here. And we are giving most of the resources. It's unfair. That is an example of put America first. So I don't believe that he's doing what he's doing to South Africa because he just wants to fuck us. But what I do believe is, it's not about land. I don't think it's about land, and I don't think it's about Afrikaners.
I'll speak about ICJ as well. This is from Westgrow. Westgrow.co.za, the AGOA fact sheet.
Yeah.
The African Growth and Opportunity Act has supported around 93,000 jobs in South Africa in the fourth quarter of 2023. However, the number of jobs affected by AGOA could be much higher if the agreement's benefits were to be revoked. It's a trade agreement between the US and eligible sub-Saharan African countries that provides duty-free access to the US market, meaning you can sell your stuff to America at a cheaper price, which means Americans will buy it, basically.
Yes.
Or you don't have to pay tax.
You don't have to pay the tariffs that they would ordinarily levy on it.
AGOA has been a lifeline for South Africa's economy, particularly in the automotive and agricultural sectors.
Yes, we send cars assembled here.
Okay, there was a question I was looking to ask. If you guys really believe what you were saying earlier about the loss of white people, let's call them white people generally, but including Afrikaners, we need their skills. They've accumulated them over time. They add a lot of value to the country. And if they left, we'd be in trouble. Does this mean that those people can, like Trump, literally be like, we're actually leaving. We're actually going to call your bluff and we're actually going to leave until you guys change the Expropriation Act. Can they actually flex? And if they do flex, that would then, we can conclude that white people run the country.
Yeah, but it would be difficult for them to flex like that. Because in order to take advantage of Trump's offer, there's a process that needs to be followed. So first, you've got to apply for refugee status, right? Because you are escaping here.
Yeah, they said refugee versus asylum.
Asylum.
Asylum,
Yeah.
you can go immediately.
Asylum,
Because you're
I
in
think,
trouble,
yeah,
and then
something
refugee,
like, yeah.
there's a process.
I was
which takes
reading
longer.
it on Reedy Clubby's thread.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to understand. But basically, you're not going to leave in less than like a year, 3 months to a year. You've got to go to Home Affairs. You've got to get all of your police clearances. And then it's subject to approval as well. You know, not everyone might be approved. So it's not a flex in that they can, like I say, like if the miners had to just say, you know what, fuck it, we're not coming to work, cheers. And everybody just downs tools. That would have an immediate effect.
Sure.
But the miners would also lose because they'd stop getting paid, and then how would they survive? So everyone is everything is what does Thomas Sowell calls it a trade-off.
Yeah.
You see, there's a trade-off. Yes, we can threaten to go, but actually going, practically speaking, might take a little bit long. Yes, you can threaten to expropriate land, but actually taking the land, this is what the president is saying. He's saying, no, there's a process and we first check. And if you read the bill, you'll see that it's actually land that's not being used currently. So sort of like empty land that could be farmed, but nobody's using. Now, there's one big piece of land that kind of fits that description, which I think is the actual target of this Expropriation Act, which I don't know this to be fact, but that would be the ultimate plot twist, is that this land expropriation thing has actually nothing to do with white people, because that's not the land they're after.
2.8 million hectares.
You see, that's not being used. It's just being owned
By
and
the
held
Zulus.
in trust by the Zulus. Now, we spoke earlier about what did we call it? Like the narrative around Zulus.
Oh, yes.
You know, like Puma Silwe vibes. Uyamkhumbula umgilija.
Yeah, he passed away. Was it last year, I
Yes.
think? May he rest in peace.
Right, nangu umgilija.
Are you playing a thing?
Just
Must
play
I play
this
it?
video. Play it.
Is there is there
There
sound?
is a sound, but
Must I play it on the mic?
It's short.
There's no sound here, Baba.
Outingbo.
Am I pressing the wrong thing? Sorry. No. Gala.
Abantu bama-Samsung.
Ah.
Listen. The question they asked him is, they said, khona bathi uZulu uyasabeka, uZulu nenkani. And he says, listen.
Uyahlonipha. Hayi inkani. Ngoba phela abantu basho njalo. Nami phela nguzulu. Bese ngithi uZulu nenkani, shothi nami nginenkani. Cha, uZulu uyahlonipha nje.
Yamuzi uthini?
Dume ngokuhlonipha.
Yebo.
That's a fact.
Right? And the narrative, what the interviewer was saying is, hey man, everybody's scared of the Zulus, you know, you
Yeah.
guys are fearsome guys. And he said, no. You understand, uZulu uyahlonipha.
We're all about respect.
We're all about respect. Now, that would be a massive red line if you say, this is the land we plan on expropriating because we have a better use for it. Do you know what I'm saying? That would be war. That shit won't go down well. And I don't know if the right people are in the positions necessary to stop something like that from happening.
I don't think there'd be a war. I wanted to read this. In most situations, it's generally considered easier to be a refugee than an asylum seeker. As a refugee has already been granted official protection status by a country, while an asylum seeker is still going through the application process and may face uncertainties about their legal status and access to services while waiting for a decision.
The asylum.
The asylum seeker has to go through an application
That's
process.
it.
The refugee has already been granted official protection. Well, Trump is giving white Afrikaners.
Asylum.
Is it asylum? It's not refugee.
No, it's not refugee.
Let's see here. Trump, white Afrikaners. Yeah, anyways, my point was going to be, if white people flexed, we'd have to conclude that they actually run this country. Because I know we say it in terms of the economy and those things, but for the ordinary black child out there, it's like, bro, we can't afford to lose white people, so behave.
Yeah, I mean,
Because if they leave, our politicians would have to shift how they move.
It's
or we'd
asylum.
have to beg them to stay.
Asylum.
He
asylum.
gave them asylum. So they have to apply.
Okay, now this Polak PLC says Afrikaner refugee program. That is on Trump's immigration.
But it's whatever. It's a technicality
But
that people
about
can
it
look
depends
up.
as well. In 94, I mean, prior to that, in the 80s, you're Mandela, you're coming out, you know, you're going to be the president. The wisest thing that part of the wisest thing that Madiba did was to have that government of unity where it's both black and white. Because ultimately, you know that my people have never run a country. It's just a fact. You can decide, you can run away and say, Mandela's never run Itembisa or Alex. He knows nothing about governance. So he knew that I have to keep some of these people. And it's unfortunate that 30 years later, we're still finding ourselves in a position where we still rely on them for the economy to still function. Remember, South Africa still is what it is because there's white people in South Africa. The other places...
The noise they always make is that white people own the economy. In other words, it's still owned by them. After 30 years,
the
we are
rest of
nowhere.
Africa, compared to where white people have left, it has been through shit.
There was somebody, actually, I read the other day. So when the Afrikaners took over from the British, I think the Afrikaners the British had Standard Bank, and they had, they made two examples. I think it was Standard Bank and Old Mutual, for argument's sake. And then the Afrikaners came in and they said, instead of trying to get a share of this Standard Bank thing, let us copy exactly what they did. And then they started like Volkskas Bank and Landbou Bank and Sanlam and whatever those are, that later became the Amalgamated Banks of South Africa, which is ABSA.
Yeah.
Standard Bank didn't go away. Standard Bank continued operating, but now they had their own banks.
Yeah.
Then they imported skills, like I said, like the engineers that came from Germany to come and industrialize our mining sector, big steel, ISCO, ESCOM, etc.
Hendrik van der Bijl, I think, studied at some point in Germany.
Right. So what they did is they upskilled their people to be ready to run a country. Since 1994, when we came in, we've upskilled no one in government. In fact, we've merely installed the people whose names we knew from 94 are still there. So we have ministers like Naledi Pandor, who...
She left to Mama last year, but she was there till last year, yes.
Right, but my son, it's 2025 now. We had the same person in from 1990. What new skills did she learn at her graceful age that could help us, as me and you now, at our ripe age of 31, to take over?
Ripe age? Keep going, Warras. Hey. I see pry, wala?
Right? What did they bring in and develop so that the next generation of people, you know, I'll use a practical example of myself, okay? I recently got a phone call to do a new TV show. Now, I was last on TV for Live Amp, which I started in 2012 and finished in 2018. 18-19. So I was on for 7 years. It's the longest time anyone's presented that music show property on SABC1.
Dope.
I'm a boss. What can I say?
Okay, let's take it easy there.
It's also because you know my ethnic background.
Okay.
You see, you're going to go very far and wide to find another Mexican who speaks Zulu and used to be colored, but is now Scandinavian.
Hey, send this guy back to Frey.
Baphelile man. Telemina. Uyangithola? Telemina.
Keep going.
Uneo, the only one.
Uneo.
Uneo, the one.
Excellent. Thank you for visiting our podcast, Warras. We'll see you next week.
Manage Morpheus, as I was saying. Oh, shit. Penuel was actually the first person to put me on a podcast, and what a mess it was. Right? So, on this call, I won't disclose what show and what channel.
Sure.
You'll see, I suppose, when it comes out. But on the call, the exchange that we had, Nomuntong Fonelayo, is this is somebody I used to work with at Urban Brew 10 years ago. This person has left Urban Brew since, started their own production company and has been doing shows, right? And she was like, check here. Penuel is going to call you, right? Because there's a new TV show that's starting. And I was like, okay, who's Penuel? So she's like, nah, Penuel, it's like someone that came up under me, was interning with me at Urban Brew, and now they're doing their own thing. Kodwa, we were having the discussion about who can we get to present this show, right? The person needs to check X, Y, and Z boxes, right? You know the story. You must be male. You must be able to speak vernac. You must be good looking. You must be able to conduct an interview.
Good looking,
blah,
but
blah, blah. Of course, I'm cute, bruh. Believe it or not. Right?
Or not.
I told you on the last podcast, I'm good looking. I'll tell you again. But anyway, if you're looking for someone to tick all of these boxes, it's almost like after our generation of stars, right? Let's call them, they're called SABC1 icons. So SABC1 icons are people like Robert Marawa, right? Who I attended an event, the launch of the Dome at FNB Stadium. Robert Marawa was the host. This was a big deal. Gayton McKenzie was there. We had the mayor there. We had Premier Panyaza Lesufi was there.
The mayor's Dada Morero.
It was but I'm yes.
No,
mayor,
I see you name dropping.
Sorry.
Go to mayor is
Yes.
just Dada.
Sure. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. The mayor the point is, star-studded event. All of the big heavyweights were there, and it was hosted by who? The heavyweight of sport, Robert Marawa.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Robert Marawa used to host Simunye Grooves? The man has been on for 30 years.
Yeah.
Who name someone who comes after Robert Marawa who's between 20 and 30 years old?
There's no one, because I'll tell you, even Andile Ngube being groomed is our age. He's
No,
older.
but even Andile is a SABC1 icon. He was on live. He had the biggest song at the time. Remember, I acted out my life in stages, 10,000 people watching. That track was huge, bro. Right? You had Bonang, you had Pearl Tusi, you had Lerato, you had Lutlove. All of these people, Mani Dlamini, Thibaut Touch, Sizwe Dlomo, these were all people who went through that school, that graduation of SABC1 and being on.
Yeah.
If you look at the generation that preceded them, if we go back now and we look at Sbu, Fresh, Bad Boy T, like radio, television people, Melanie San, Bob Mabena, right? After this generation, Yabo Sizwe, Warras, Banban, Konaba. Like that's on that level, that reached that level of fame where they were on a show that had 7-8 million viewers every week for 5 years. Do you understand? There's a different value that you bring to any television property if that's where you come from. Abaseko.
You're right, Abaseko.
Abaseko.
But I will
And
say,
I'm not
in
counting
their defense,
I'm not counting
defend
people
them.
that are actors and actresses. I'm not counting people that are on like the big soapies and like obviously. So the point I'm making is there was this sort of like this gap in like skills development, character development, artist development, whatever you want to call it. Where now in 2025, when they are looking for a host for a TV show that kind of ticks these boxes, you've got to go back and fetch previous generation niggas.
Yeah.
Because Abasaya Kabant in that 20 to 25 bracket. And when I'm like friends with a lot of like TikTokers. I've got this one light, he's Ian, he's my dude, he's my link to that world.
Yeah.
And honestly, with him and all his bras, they have absolutely no interest in it. They've got 3-4 million followers on TikTok. They're getting 10 million views, whatever.
Sure.
They are not interested in being on a TV show. Do you understand? They're like, nah, that's pop.
I was going to say the media landscape has also
changed.
Yeah.
Yes, but we still have TV. We still have
TV.
shows.
We still have radio.
Yes, there's massive
They
budgets.
keep recycling the same people in
Thank
radio
you.
as well.
And it's not because I'm the biggest boss to ever live. It's because we were the last generation who seems like they were interested in doing it. And the ones that are currently interested in doing it, it's either we can't find them, because we don't do stuff like we used to do, like Shell Road to Fame and
Talent
searches and presenter searches. Remember, Bonang won a presenter search. Mani Dlamini won a presenter search. Sizwe Dlomo won a presenter search.
Andile Ngube.
These were like national campaigns. Yo, guys, we're going to be out at Umlazi mega city today is audition abantu.
Yes.
Fika ngo-7 ekuseni usiphathela ugqoka iskipa esi-black kanjani. 6,000 people were queuing there on Saturday morning and 6,000 on Sunday morning. These were big deals. We don't do stuff like that. So maybe we're not searching hard enough. But this person was like, fam, there's no one else. You need to please just take a call because like it's at that point where we need the host. We want you to do it. Please do it. I haven't been on TV for 5 years. If I never ever got a call to be on TV again, I'm fine with that. I've since moved on. But I took it because it's a big bag. And why the fuck not? Let me also be back on TV. Is it the same as it was when I was on Live Amp or is it not? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's just, I'm making that example to say, you can't just, in any industry, you can't just kick everybody out and be like, we'll find new people. Because when it comes time to actually find them, and then you start seeing that actually we spend no time developing these people, we can't just throw you onto Nick, that guy in the Sunday Times commercial farm. He's got flipping.
Nick Sarfontaine.
Did you see that article? Yeah, like he's got cattle and tea and dude, he's running a massive operation. If you kick Nick out and then you give it to Penuel, you will fuck that farm up. Me and you will slaughter all those cows.
Yeah,
and
but you know what it is as well, though, Warras, that black people also struggle with, and they struggle with this a lot, and I think me and Penuel speak about it. Succession planning. We are extremely bad at it, you know? Like, we never know who's going to be the next person. Like, we just don't know. It's like, hey, man. And you see with political parties, whoever's got inyugu becomes the leader, but that person was not groomed to become the next person, you know? I guess maybe they think they did right with Umbek, you know, there's an idea that we might actually get freedom.
He's not the only one, sorry.
But there's no one new coming in.
Someone spoke about how, I think it might have been Usnawo Tambo, I think we had from the EFF, who spoke about they did have a plan of sending people overseas. He mentioned, I think, Tito Mboweni, Trevor Manuel, of course, with Thabo Mbeki. But to Warras's point, I guess, sadly, these guys weren't coming to build. It was more just to manage at that level.
And also those guys, they were in the beginning.
Yes.
Like they were in it. I'm saying, who's there that was not there in 94? That's there now, that we've watched grow. There's maybe Ronald Lamula.
I was about to say.
Right? You see, it's the only name.
Julius. I think Julius, we can put him in there.
He's not in the governing party.
So he was chucked out is part of the problem, I guess.
Yeah, he's not in the governing party.
And I guess that's what the Youth League was for.
For grooming.
And look what happened to the Youth
transition
League.
you into this.
Yes, but that's also just for politics again. It's not to industrialize and to develop. We don't have people that they can say from 94, like let's say an apartheid government. These are all Siyakuza, that boy that named the planet to a star after him. These are the other young guys who are farming, who are developing nuclear energy so that in time we actually capacitated kids.
It's this thing that we speak about, the royal house. They know for the next 100 years who's gonna lead. Tina, right now in the next 5 years, we don't know who's gonna be a president and what they stand for.
We don't know. And it's
but we have an idea. And our idea comes from the current selection that we've had for 30 years.
Yes.
Now, it's just like who's the youngest.
I imagine.
Some people are saying Umamnaledi Pando must come back.
Never.
And you're like,
And when you listen to how they speak, right? It's like we're making the example of Youth League. I want to hear someone who doesn't call everyone listening comrades and doesn't say, I'm Andla and, you know, the stuff we were hearing in 1992. Come and tell us new stuff. Okay? That's A. B, we have this whole militant liberation movement thinking in 18-year-olds that are trying to come up. No. For me, as soon as you talk like that, you're out. That's not what we need.
18s people with a revolution.
Yeah, that's not what we need. It's not what we need. It doesn't work in the global environment. We cannot send you overseas to represent us because they don't want to hear that shit. We need plans. Yes, we need action plans, guys. Serious. You know, Thabo Mbeki, love the guy. I think he's a super articulate,
ex-president
Thabo Mbeki, the honorable.
There we go.
Extremely articulate, intelligent man. I think he got a very raw deal in the HIV beetroot scandal, the ARV thing, because I think people purposefully chose to not hear what he was saying.
I made an apology video during COVID to go back to what he was saying, and he was asking questions we were asking during COVID back then about
Yes,
HIV
and he
AIDS.
was cancelled.
And he was cancelled,
attacked
yeah.
because vele, there's that thing where they say mshang media because it doesn't suit the agenda to supply the amount of ARVs we need that USAID can send us money for.
Facts.
You see, he was blocking a money laundering channel and they didn't like it.
Hey,
So,
Doge.
yeah, you understand. But what I don't like about Thabo Mbeki, and I saw this headline last week, is when I see a headline saying, Mbeki said Zuma was a spy. I'm just like, oh man, we in 2025. Who the fuck cares? I really don't care if Zuma was a spy. I couldn't give a fuck. I need to know what is happening with the fucking water infrastructure in Fourways. Can we assist here? The people are moving with no water for 3 days in Deep Sloot. It's not okay. I need to know what is happening with the unemployment rate. What are we developing so people can get jobs? Then once all of that stuff is done and fixed, we can look at who was a spy. You understand? And the arms deal. But right now, I don't care. I really don't care. Not because I have no interest in knowing about our past, but because we have real problems right now. We have a crime rate that's out of fucking control. Like we're putting up civil war numbers here. Gaza at Cape Flats is what we're dealing with. We have serious infrastructure crises all over the country that are going unaddressed. Every year in Durban around December time, which is their peak tourism time, there's shit in the sea. Come on, what is happening? This is the period of time Durban needs to make its money and attract tourism, and then you can't swim anywhere on the south coast because the sewage is, Have you guys still not fixed this? What's up? You understand? There's all these other things that they throw in, and then my issue with it is it populates the media cycle.
Yeah.
Every article that's written is now about this fucking other Afrikaners gonna leave. Then Donald Trump is a crazy puss. He's saying the Afrikaners must leave. Him and Elon are racist. Elon is actually running the government. Every single voice on 702, I love them all, them are oaks. But guys, fuck's sake, can somebody have a different view? All of them are like, look at this picture. Elon is towering over Trump. Elon is actually in charge. The fuck? Is that what you think? And we listen to you every day. Aye, brah, you need to come with something better.
All these guys know is politics.
Every
I look at
media
even Zuma now.
outlet of ours, there's no journalists. They're all activists. They all push one narrative. These were people that were telling us Kamala Harris is a good choice. She's a fucking idiot. If anybody thinks that Kamala Harris would have been capable of running a country, you and I cannot have a conversation. Aye. Let's be frank, please. The woman was a blonde. She's dumb as fuck. Every interview she did was embarrassing. Did you watch this shit, Penuel?
The latest one.
All of them. Aye. Then you don't know if she's drunk or high. She looks like I have an aunt like that. You understand? She drinks every day. She drinks 2 bottles of wine. Same behavior. No, the same thing where it's like, hey, guys, me junior. Me. You know where I come from? I come from my Kopo. I came here in Joburg. I came here with the Greyhound bus. Me. No one must tell me. That's what she fucking did. And I'm just like, Jesus, you've told me the story for 20 years. Thank you. That's Kamala Harris, like your drunk aunt. But these were the people that were telling us Donald Trump, is Satan, he's a racist, he's a what. All of these things, like I said with the Afrikaners argument thing, not backed up by any evidence of any kind. Yeah. It's just a narrative that they've been instructed to push, which begs the question, are they being paid to do it? Okay, which is cool. If you're being paid to do it, hey, push your thing. And as I say, I have nothing personal against them, but they are not beyond criticism. You understand? I have nothing personal against them, but I listen often. I follow them. I view their tweets. And I think, bruh, this is disappointing from you because if anyone who pretends like what Doge is doing and why Elon is in the position he's in, if you can't understand how this is what was promised, why it's a good idea, and why the results in 28 days eclipse what the Biden administration, Obama administration, and Bush administration before it, literally since Clinton till now, these guys have achieved more in 28 days than they achieved in 20 years. Because it's a very simple plan. We come in with not the guys who were around in 94 in positions of power. We come in with auditors that are 19 years old, some lighty named Big Balls and his brass. And we tell them what to look for. They don't have a vested interest in the system because they are not part of it.
Sure.
They are simply auditors, hackers, and IT specialists on rocket scientist level. You must know this is Elon's brass. These are, you know what I mean? These are serious motherfuckers, dog.
Sure.
Stop pretending like because this guy is 19, he's your little brother there who wanks during the day and plays Fortnite at night. These niggas are not the same. This one has been hacking banking sites since he was 14. So you can't fuck with Big Balls. He's a serious IT player. Why are we pretending like he's an ordinary 19-year-old?
Sure.
You know what I mean? The team that Elon has brought in, going through one department, has so far found so much waste and so much clear fraud. It's shocking. And what is the American media's solution or response to it? Not to report on the facts that Elon literally tweets every 5 minutes. He's like, Penuel just went into the account of Denel. It turns out Denel made a payment of 3 billion to Warras and the reference for the payment is condoms. What the fuck is condoms? They instead attack him because he said 50 million was spent on condoms for Gaza. They were like, Elon, he's lying again.
got it wrong.
He got it wrong.
Yeah.
The condoms were actually for Mozambique.
But
Nigga,
then
50 million on condoms. Yeah. There's not even enough people in Mozambique with peepees to use those condoms. Send some here.
And you know, I watched that clip. It was with the Oval Office, Trump and the kid.
Yes.
And he was like, yeah, I got it wrong, sharp. Mara, why spend 50 million on condom? Can you
Chief,
just
how much
understand
condoms is that, boss? 50 million on condoms. That's R1 billion on condoms. How much is condoms? How much is condoms? Buma 6 tiger for like 3.
And you
The
know,
tiger.
you know what I liked about
What do you think?
With 6 tiger.
You know what I liked
Mali,
about
no
First plus, I
condom.
saw 15 rand.
I'm what saying,
you know what I
Ndlovu.
liked about his
Yes.
response? His response was, okay, Sharp, I got the country wrong. Sharp,
But gay.
50. Let's deal with this number. And the reporter just stood still after that. Because they're like, you are dealing with a different beast here. He's not some kind of like, oh yeah, I got the country wrong. I might do my research. No, it's like, yeah, I got the country wrong. Fuck it, it's fine.
That's
But
it.
at 50,
Yes.
let's speak about the 50. Then the reporter just kept quiet after that, moved on to the next question. So you realize that we need those type of characters in fit. Yeah.
But because he's a normal guy that is...
Who's a normal guy?
No, I mean he's a normal guy and he's not a politician.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a fucking weird guy.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that America needs right now in that department.
Yeah.
And that is the promise that was made on the campaign, is bring in someone completely independent. The fact that they tried to hit him with, there was a contract that Tesla was awarded for $400 million for the provision of military vehicles, right? So Tesla was probably going to give, I don't know, maybe bulletproof cyber trucks or whatever the fuck
that
it was
for the Cybertruck, yeah.
And they were like, Musk has a $400 million Cybertrucks contract with Tesla. That's why him being in government is a bad idea because it's a conflict of interest. Very quickly, they just canceled the contract. It was awarded under the Biden administration. Trump didn't give him that contract. He had the contract. That guy's got massive contracts with government. Obviously, he also runs SpaceX, which is funded by funding that comes from the US government. That's why he knows so much about the regulatory steps involved in applying for funding and wanting to launch a rocket. And he's saying this regulation is an obstacle to the free market. I can't get my rockets in the air because I've got to sign some form that says I won't kill a particular type of insect when the rocket is flying and the heat that comes off the rocket. Mhlampe ingashisa lela mpukane. No. How must I control impugane? I can't. I need to launch a rocket, bro. I'm trying to get us to Mars. So what do we want to do? Do we want to go to Mars? Or do we want to fucking save mpuganes? The same with the California thing. They had to stop the water from flowing into the rich farmland that California has because there's a fish called, I don't know what the fuck, some fucking stupid fish. That fish was going to be affected. But this fish's contribution to nature does not outweigh the benefit of having all of that water flow into that valley so that when the fucking place is burning down, we have water in the fire hydrants.
Yeah.
So these are practical, common sense things that you and I can just speak about here off the cuff. It's not even like I'm an expert, but it makes sense to me. For us to then have South African media houses running with the narrative that these two people are just fucking lunatics and don't know what the fuck they're doing, and Donald Trump is an idiot. How is he an idiot? He built a $6 billion business. This man literally built Manhattan. He's not a clown. You understand? He comes with credentials. He had a massive show running on air in America. He's arguably the most famous man on the planet with the most FaceTime on television other than Rian Kruiwagen. The bra has been on TV since the 70s.
Shout
For
out to
fuck's
Rian,
sake.
man. I see his picture there, not riding there, North Gate, because he lives in some old age home estate thing.
Is it?
Sorry. He's like the face of it.
But he is that's the only guy I know that's been on TV longer than Donald Trump. And when I say on TV, I mean in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
Either he was being interviewed in the media for the girlfriends he had, for Miss Universe, for being a New York real estate tycoon, for being a single eligible bachelor in the early 90s. Then he married a model. Then he had these beautiful children. Then he divorced that one and married this one. Then he fucked a porn star. So whether it's good or bad, whether it relates to his personal life, business life, or celebrity, somehow this man has been on TV screens for 40 years. You can't just, again, it's the example I made about being famous. You can't just throw that shit away. It's literally a skill development that has gotten him to this point. It's a character development that that endears him to the American public. Certainly half of them love that guy. Do you understand?
Sure.
You can't just throw it away, and you can't just explain it away by saying, but he's racist, that one. White supremacy. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? No, trust me, bro. CNN told us. That's my point, is that like people are so sick and tired of that shit. And here in South Africa, we also need to get sick and tired of it. In that we are fed this nonsense all the time where it's like, no, the real problem is the whites. The problem is not the whites. Maybe there's an argument to be made about how whites must give us half their shit. Fine. But before we get to that argument, can we please discuss why is there no water in Joburg for 3 days? Let's start there. Can we fix the infrastructure? Where is the money that gets wasted on all these fucking projects that are well reported? Government's wasteful expenditure, corruption, the whole state capture thing that cost us R1 billion. What's happening with that? Let's get to the things that are important. Why are there so many illegal firearms in Wentworth, Westbury, the Cape Flats, and every black township? Where are the fucking guns coming from? Please, can we get to the guns? These are simple, practical things that we could be fixing. But no, we have to launch a case at the ICJ. Oh, fuck's sake. Now we must be sanctioned.
Many people are linking Trump's behavior to that because Israel is their ally, especially what's happening now. I've got some notes here. I don't know if you want to say something.
No, you can hit, sir.
So I wanted to say the first thing, and it was going to be a question, but I'll just add it as a statement now, that from everything you said about television and radio and even politics and lack of industrialization, we could almost argue that the lack of real skills development might be the biggest failure of the ANC government over the last 30 years. The fact that we can't say today, but here are all these black kids who can farm, who can manufacture, who can build construction, who can build electricity power plants and the like.
Or who don't have to be laborers.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
If blacks built the country because they took instruction from the whites, it's because that's all they could do.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But why is it that in 2025, that is still the vast majority of black people?
Yeah.
The job that you get, you are a laborer and you must take instruction. And now it's worse because you're competing for the same job with Zimbabweans, Malawians, and half of Africa that's come here because they are also underdeveloped. Yeah. So they're coming here because they're like, hey, fuck it, bro. The jobs they're handing out there, you understand? We are babona fet maphuma mhlambe indawo ezifana ne-builders warehouse, no me build it, no me Leroy Merlin. Khona bahleli with those signs saying painter, builder, plasterer, whatever. Speak to that guy. You ask him how much does he charge a day, he'll tell you 60 rand. Once I hear 60, I know wangaphandle. You understand?
60.
Yeah, you know that you're
but
right.
But 60 fet ne 150 phela.
It is.
Hey.
You're right. That is the big. And one thing that pisses me off about the ANC government is the fact that they're black, and it's almost like they are proving that we actually can't govern.
Oh, look!
It's like-
Let me say this.
proven.
Let me say this. Sorry, Warras. I want to say this. So Warras made an example with the National Party, the apartheid government,
Yeah.
and we're comparing it to now.
Yeah.
The apartheid government was into politics, like our government. Our government's into politics. All these guys know, FW, Jacob Zuma, Mbeki, all of them that they know is politics. The problem is that's all they've forced us to focus on, whereas the others said, these are our industrialists. And our
The
politicians...
apartheid government
yes.
did do that, though.
They were like,
The
we do
problem
politics.
is, yeah.
OFW doesn't know anything about building a power plant.
No.
But these are the guys. And our government, I think that is also secondary, become the second biggest failure. That we're politicians, we're liberators, whatever you want to call it. But we haven't been able to actually say, Thabo Mbeki, when you're like, we hear you saying Zuma's a spy, but the water, and you're like, these are the guys that we actually developed.
Yes, he knows now. He's an
that
academic.
can resolve. These are the Elon Musks and the Hendrik van der Bijls that actually can create all this water
And
thing
Omnic.
and the what and the...
And on that point, Penuel, is that we remember you mentioned earlier that when Mandela said, no, we need to, who mentioned that we had to keep the white government or the white, half the whites or whatever.
Because Nelson Mandela,
Yeah,
Government
we've
of National
never,
Unity.
But I think Debs has said it, right?
Oh,
Where it's like the government of national unity, we've got to keep these oaks. They also kept all the white industrialists. But the deal they made was, give us a share. That is how some of them are billionaires today. They didn't build those mines.
Almost all of them.
All of them. None of them have started any company of their own ever.
Yo, you know what you're saying? So I was reading about one of the issues that Zuma probably has when he came into power was the fact that I come from exile and I'm in
Sure.
when as Mbeki, Abutito, Nitola Mashes, Bapita Busiril. Mina, I come through, I'm like, manje mina, and I'm 24, I'm also from exile, Buffet. One in a being Valela. No, now I forsake.
Let me
Now,
posit a theory.
But we can break it down better, but I'm just, yeah.
Sure. Let me
Futhi angimkwateli. Ithathe leyo mali. Yabo iGupta mayila phambi kwami. If the Guptas had to come to me and say, "Mibaf, na 10 meeting, ngiyayithatha mfana. Fuck you guys. Take that money."
Here's a theory.
Yeah.
You spoke very well of Elon Musk, and we're speaking about the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. Theory. Hypothetical, before people get overexcited. What if the whole Gupta scandal, state capture angle was a form of Doge by Jacob Zuma? So Zuma comes in, he doesn't have an Elon Musk, he maybe has the Gupta brothers, but then he applies all of these guys, or he installs all of these guys. Tutumieni goes to SAA, she does an audit. She finds out only 3% of the suppliers are black. He sends Uhlaudi Mutsweneng to the SAPCs, like, why are we playing so much foreign kak? 90% local. These are audits, right? We're speaking
This
about...
is hypothetical.
Hypothetical. We're speaking about a guy who came into government and said, I'm not happy with how things have been running. I'm sending these people to go and do these things. He sent, I don't know if it was a lady, to the mining charter. They wanted to change the mining charter. It ended up not going through to speak about ownership. He sends Matsela Koko, he sends Brian Mulif into Eskom, who for the first time exposed evergreen contracts. Glencore. Who are the people supplying all of the stuff? Of course, with the Guptas as well.
The Manels, the Exaros.
Yes. He goes and he points a spotlight on VBS. And because he's now banking with VBS, questions get asked about why do municipalities all bank at the big banks, this cartel, and they're not banking with the smaller banks to capacitate them. He even installs someone who's an intellectual and who questions how our whole legal system works in Mukhweng. So
As Chief Justice.
as Chief Justice. And if you look at what was achieved just from an audit, I need to speak about Elon Musk asking about condoms, asking about USAID. Zuma comes in to what Tutebs are saying. I wasn't a beneficiary of BE and those things. And he puts all these guys and then he steps back. And all we're just asking questions. Why are we not focusing on local music? Why is SAA not transformed? Why are there evergreen contracts from apartheid? Why are there no proper black players besides the one that were placed there? Why Eskom is it being run like this? And all of a sudden we have load shedding and those things.
Load shedding was gone for quite a while.
It was gone for 2 years under those guys. Why is it only these banks that can bank? Why can we not bank with the smaller banks, which are black banks, to capacitate them? And then Umukhwen comes and asks, we say, this legal system, does it really work? And that as a theory now becomes Zuma saying, I see you guys applauding Trump. I see you guys applauding Elon Musk. I've done this thing before. But at the time when I did it, you weren't like, hey, to do me and exposed Hey, Uhlaudi, you guys were laughing at them. Tutumen is a school teacher. Uhlaudi, that thing, and what. And these guys were captured.
I
Like,
liked
do
Claudia,
you
I've
realize
told
that
you
nothing
before.
has changed since I left? But I exposed all of the stuff that Musk exposed, as an example. In a few years' time, Trump gets removed. They say he was captured, state captured by Elon Musk. We saw him and his kid going crazy.
He had a
and
Tesla contract.
now at least we've got a new chief justice. We've chased him out. He was a capturer. We're now going to revert back to how things were. Forget about USAID. Forget about these contracts. Forget about, just as a theory, which we've had Doge in South Africa, but we ended up calling it 9 wasted years, and we ended up with a 1 billion rand commission. That has gotten us nowhere. But the one legacy we have is, for the first time in our new democracy, ordinary black people were exposed to things they never knew before. Supply chain, certain tenders, certain companies that are supplying. Why them? Why so much money? Why this and that? To
We
a
still
point
don't
where
have the answers to
Today
those
we can
questions.
ask questions about, but why are we taking money for renewables when we've got coal?
Coal.
When we could
500
even
years
look
of
into
it.
nuclear. Uzuma was like, what about nuclear? No, we can't. Why not?
The nuclear that was going to cost $1 trillion.
Trillion. That would have been our ESCOM
what you guys-
graduation.
The
at some
numbers
point.
that they're talking about for the renewables and for every other fucking plan is way over $1 trillion,
over
and it's
what?
not nuclear.
Yes.
I wonder, it goes back to what you're saying, Warras, the whole idea of media.
Yes.
Media, man, and when I think about Claudi Mfethu, they're playing more essay music. I mean, that was revolutionary, Mfethu. But then the issue becomes media. No, get man. What does you know about this thing? This thing doesn't make sense. But they're not thinking about the artist. No one is saying, oh, well, the artist benefit from this thing.
Yes.
Yes,
So-
because remember the labels are also
Exactly.
strong.
Like, why am I Beyonce no Jay-Z you get by? But you know what was fascinating for me with Claudio was the fact that after was he fired or did he leave? Which I forgot.
He was fired.
He
Not
was
Sure,
fired.
but there was also a case of some money that he got from a super, I think a super sport deal or something.
He did
No.
a deal there with MultiChoice.
No, he did a deal with MultiChoice to sell old content. Boom Peme, Boshaka Zul and what. And then they had a channel at Jazz TV that played this old content.
SABC
But you know
Encore.
what was fascinating for me with Claudio was the fact that I think Claudio was appointed a project manager at Super Sport. I think it was during the World Cup or something in Russia. Like they employed him for like 2 years or something. And this is the very same guy that is an idiot from SABC, but he gets employed in the private sector for like 2 years. And the media is not apologizing to say, actually, not to slave Lom Chitalona. Because why would MultiChoice take an idiot and make him a project manager?
Remember
He
what
was
the media
dismissed, sorry,
has.
just so you know, he was dismissed, removed
Oh,
as chief
DCDC.
operating officer after his dishonesty was revealed, and he was found to have lied about his qualifications.
Oh.
But you can't use that logic in this dangerous logic, because there's a lot of politicians that go into private industry after leaving
Yeah, they,
whatever position they have. It's like you're told.
So
by
you're saying it should have
MultiChoice.
been before for it to have credibility, not after.
Yeah, maybe before. It would be.
before
No, I'm just
certainly
saying
has
it's
more
logic.
credibility.
Yeah, just-
Because remember, after you coming from knowing the inside.
Sure. So we need you
Yeah,
to come in.
that's
give
what
us
happens
intel.
in
No, but why
America.
can't
They
the
call
media-
it the revolving door of like the military industrial complex. Is you go from being a policy maker
Yeah.
within the Department of Defense.
Yes.
You change this, and this policy, you resign, and then you get a job at Lockheed Martin, where those policies that you changed essentially speak to your position that you are then
100%.
given. Like the Pelosi's have done it. All of them have also become fantastically rich. The difference with America, Europe, and us is that they are playing with a much bigger pool of money. So if Joe Biden and his family are worth a combined $300 million, that's nothing in relation to the total GDP of the US government.
Sure.
Whereas here, if one person is worth $1 billion, boss, that's a lot of money.
big deal.
It's a big deal. Especially when it's difficult to explain. It's easier to hide money in more money. You see, it's easier to hide $1 billion in 100 billion than it is to hide $1 billion in 4 billion.
Sure.
It's like where did the
We've
money
heard
come
about
from?
Tito Mboweni, Trevor Manuel, and some of those guys also going to the private sector. I mean, these were ministers of finance working for international banks.
But they were not
Trevor Manuel
deemed-
and his wife.
But they were not deemed idiots before. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
true.
saying about
Yeah, yeah.
Mutaudi, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
That he came from, you are an idiot.
I think
does an
Upravin
idiot
was a
go
pharmacist.
into- Yeah.
By the way, I think
How does
Upravin
an
was a
idiot go
pharmacist
into
and no one
multi-choice?
laughed at
That's
that.
what I'm saying. The ones we're speaking about were not deemed in a specific way in media.
Yeah, they were not
That's what I mean.
characterized in a light of being.
That's the power of media.
Yeah. But
Jack
can I say
Dorsey said this on Twitter. He was like, he who controls the media controls the minds.
100%. Uhlaudi, right? And this is the thing. It happens to a lot of people. I would say, off the top of my head, someone like Hlaudi Motsoneng, whom I like Hlaudi. Yeah, he was my boss at the SABC for a long time. I never had an issue with the guy. So I can't say I have anything personal against him.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't know enough about whether he's an idiot or not. But what I did know is he used to call these meetings. They were like monthly or quarterly or whenever they were. They were in the big auditorium at the SABC and everybody had to attend. So you had everybody there from Generations to Live Amp to sports to like the talent of the channel. And it was for him to give a speech on some like state of the nation address, you know.
Come on, Claude.
And
Come on, boy.
very funny,
Yeah.
right? But he was funny because bigger petty English.
Yes.
Yeah, bo? So there was that humor. And he was a funny guy. Like he pointed at me and he was like, the other day I saw Penuel in a Toyota Test. And I said, how can Penuel be in a Toyota Test? He should be in a BMW or something because, guys, Warras, how can you be famous and broke? You know what I mean? Like shit like that. That was funny because the example he was making is, hey, are we not paying you guys enough money? Or are you not using the platform that we give you to go into the world and make money? Because this platform is very powerful. It's very powerful. Me, when I walk into a room, already they know the platform I'm coming from is the national broadcaster. It's the broadcaster.
We're not playing here.
Before I talk, they know the power I have. When you talk, do they know the power you have as the face of Ntonton?
Yeah.
We're not chasing from generations. You know, like that type of shit. Yeah. So everybody would laugh. It was an interesting speech. But because, yes, he was not articulate in English, one could say he's an idiot. Yeah. Because remember, we use your ability, your command of the English language to determine whether or not
it's a measure of intelligence.
Mamkize suffers from the same thing.
Yeah.
She'll do an interview where you can hear she misspoke. Okay. And if you understand Zulu and you had to say what she was saying in English in Zulu, you'd be like, actually, lo muntu uthi.
Yes.
Kanjani.
Yeah.
But because she kind of directly translated it in her head, they clip that and they say, oh, she said this,
yes,
which means this. You understand? Mamkies is not an idiot. Far from it. She's built a fucking serious business and she runs that business. So even if you say she got it because she paid someone and it's tenders, that's fine. The business is conducting business and it's running and it's completing projects and you understand? This is not something an idiot would be able to pull off. Certainly not for this long. Yeah. You can say what you want about her lifestyle and buying Gucci and SARS. That's fine. Explain to me, how did she build this massive business and how does she run this business empire if she's an idiot? She runs it in Zulu. You don't get it because you don't speak Zulu.
100%.
And you are using her command of the English language as a measure of her intelligence.
Like judging an Afrikaner.
Many,
farmer.
yes.
Yeah.
Many,
when they speak English.
Yes. Many government officials. I mean, the last time we spoke about the electricity minister, I didn't rate him. You told me he's a credentialed guy.
Yeah.
To be fair, under his ministry, load shedding has stopped. Now, that could be because they put a hold on the fucking scam they were running. Or it could be because Ramakgopa actually came in with real plans that are working. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm happy that in his portfolio, thus far, we are seeing results. Yeah. But you can't tell me the same thing about Gwede Mantashe. And you can't tell me the same thing about many other ministers that have held positions for the past 30 years and their departments are clusterfuck. Home Affairs, fucked. Chidi's mother came back in, the bitch. Moving with the Mozambique passport.
She was arrested
2 days ago.
Yeah, she was arrested, but ungene kanjani. The reality is, she knows ukuthi la, you can pay your way, bribe your way. When someone thinks that of this place, they're going to take those chances. I'm glad she got arrested. I hope something is done. Because that scandal populated the media for fucking 3 months. The girl couldn't take part in Miss SA. Mina, I was defending her. And, Twitter. People then come back at you a year later and they're like, yeah, where's those ones that were defending this? Because black people. Everyone is online. No one is listening to logic and reason. Where it's like when the Chidi story broke and they were saying she can't take part in Miss SA because she has a Nigerian and Mozambican flag in her bio on TikTok. When they were saying she can't, I was saying, does she have SA citizenship?
Yeah.
Is she in possession of an ID document? And IOL was saying she was born here. Her parents are foreigners. Both were citizens by naturalization. Everyone is legally here. They are South African citizens. Sure. She has a right to compete. That's it. It's the long and the short for me. Whether she's of Nigerian heritage or white Miss SA is of German heritage, I don't care. You are South African now. Be a patriot. Fly the flag high. Be hot. These are the things I require of Miss SA.
They'll still attack you. I don't know if we can
They
pause.
still attack me.
Can we pause? I just need to go somewhere quickly.
Yeah.
For a few seconds. Or carry on rolling.
You can.
You guys can chat. I don't know if you guys want to chat to Warras. Then the camera can be on him.
Yeah, whatever.
Where are you going?
I just need to see a man about a dog. I need to see a man about a horse. Just need to visit a little boy's.
There was actually. Oh, I was going to make the example of your Doge.
Yeah.
That Doge example.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I so pause. No, so
I
man.
said, are you pausing? Or are you...
Is that how we're gonna carry on?
No, I thought we pausing, man.
The guy said continue. And he heard
But
Doge.
continue kanjani ngoba khona into ayibhalile la. We can't have the conversation without it. Bengizolanda amanzi mina. Ngifuna ukuyolanda
I can
amanzi.
get you water.
What I want to understand sometimes when you guys are talking about Zoom, am I missing something like very drastic about the whole thing? Like,
No, let me get something with off the bit.
because there's our I don't know. Hey homie, have you been able to shoot any content for writing a
Not yet, my friend. Ish.
Serious.
It's a fuck up.
I'm both.
man. On both, bro.
I'm both sad and happy that came.
Right, so am I. You know what the issue is,
I
Mgana?
need to be in that shit.
Budget. Money,
Zaga.
bro.
When you buy something that the market is not ready for, this thing's gonna be on camera.
No, we
Damn it.
must still do it.
There's a Prussian company that
We must figure out how to do it though.
there's
No,
a Prussian
I'll show you
company.
now.
Like for
There's a
Let me just
Prussian
tell
company.
this
I can't say
I'll
the
take your
name
numbers
because we're
again.
rolling.
Yeah.
They want to acquire the same thing. Then you want to go screen sa Warras again. Is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah, company.
Yeah.
Security.
Oh no, I thought you guys were speaking about the screen that he got.
Oh no.
It's only him and the guys in Cape
Fuck, I
Town.
forgot, Ghana.
Yo.
The guys on that shit.
There's a Prussian. No, we didn't pause. No, we didn't pause.
Infinity.
Yeah.
No, not Infinity.
No, it's not Infinity, man. It's the 3D.
Nah, man, there's a name though for it. We spoke about it last time.
What?
That screen that he's got?
Only Cape Town studios and him have it.
I forgot the name, but yeah.
It was a big deal. How the fuck
Apparently
did you
it's a big
forget
deal.
about that?
So I'm saying,
Eh?
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
one.
so this company wants to get it now. They were in Netherlands last week speaking to Netflix if they're gonna use it. That arrived, they do acquire it, and they're realizing that there's not a lot of players that can afford it. So
No,
now it's
besides, you can afford it if you've got all the money. The problem is who's going to run it. That's what I remember last time I
yeah,
saw. The technicians that run it in Hollywood are coded, but they run it for Hollywood because that's where they get the big
and
bucks.
that's why Cape Town Studios is winning because they're doing all the big sets from the US.
Yes, and they import the skills from the US.
So that's why they come in dollars. So I won't go to Warras and say, please give me that service. He's gonna charge me
And
like
if I
30,000.
hire a guy who can actually do it, he'll take the whole budget of the network.
That's
I'll
the
be paying
problem.
that guy half a bar a month.
So yeah,
It's like a skill
crazy
thing, dude. It's literally like playing a game. You see, so your design capability is based on how good are you and how skilled are you. You understand?
how
So
much
I
is that-
might use Penuel. It's not as simple as interviewing Penuel and using him. He might be pop. But there's another guy who's 19 years old named Big Balls. That's like been working on, you understand? That's because in that sector, in that industry, your age doesn't make a difference. It's a skill thing. How good are you at this fucking thing? You sit for fucking 24 hours on a computer, 36 hours, 72 hours. You know, like that movie, The Social Network.
Yeah.
They're like, I need to see Mark. He's like, can't. He's jacked in. He's been running 26 hours. Who the fuck does that? Do these white nerds? We don't have that. You're going to get a black guy that's going to tell you, fit your boys cut it here. Man,
Black people are lazy.
How much did the Forex got close to that?
Black
How
people
much did the
are
Forex
lazy.
got close to that at some point? I thought we were going to actually unleash machines.
And then we just
The way they were
unleashed
trading up at night,
roadsters.
making sure that they're there with the markets when Japan opens,
Then they bought
when New York
Ferraris.
opens, but then, hey, they didn't go anywhere.
bought
Yeah,
Ferraris,
they
they're
bought
like, oh.
Ferraris and they came on screen with their fucking fat girlfriend that they first started dating, Ning Ning. And then they said,
but
this
they
one has
tried
been
it
by
as
my
well.
side since the beginning of my journey. When I was trading with a 50 Rand, she was there. And now she's still there. And we got a Lambo.
Why the exit?
Why are you talking like that? Are we still rolling?
That's a real one on TikTok.
Still
Hey, Baba, hey.
Start trading now. There was a big boss forex trader, Zulu. And people took him for a poos because also he's command of the English language.
Sure.
Yabo. But that motherfucker, we used to bodyguard him.
Yeah.
So sasamba naye.
What is his name?
I can't say his name
Okay,
because
okay.
I una case amaningi.
Was he young?
Young guy, bro.
Was he from the coast?
He was from
The coast.
he was actually from like from Maritzburg or Richards Bay or some shit.
Oh.
But it was
the second one is there by the
Yeah.
coast. Okay.
And he was one of the OG ones. I interviewed him on YFM.
Sure.
So you're talking forex trader in 2012.
Okay.
Like before it became a thing.
Okay.
And anyway, like essentially how he was making his money was, they make the money, besides knocking people, they make the money off the courses. If you can sell a lot of people signing up to your course,
Yes.
you'll be fine. Because what he was doing is he was hosting these courses at like different conference centers, and he'd have like 400 people in attendance, charging them like $2,000 each.
Yeah.
You see. But the way he hyped it up is we would go to the bank with him. Ayokhipha imali, he'd order cash, mhlawumbe 1.4 million in cash. Ayifaka isikhwameni se-Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Then we go to Houghton Hotel, ubhuka khona. Mangene erumini, uset up i-tripod yakhe ne-camera, and then utela imali kanje on the bed. And then he's like, the money's in. This week in trading, Shang English engekho. Sometimes he did it in Zulu, and it'd be like, look at this, profits for the week, 800,000. What are you waiting for? Sign up for the course.
Boom.
Then he puts it into a Dior bag. He puts the LV bag one side.
Sure.
We move from there, we go to Fire and Ice in Melrose. Buka kona, singene rumini, set up tripod, change outfit. Profits for this week, 1.4 million. What are you waiting for? Kshubile.
Hey, you're
Then
exposing
he'd
the
go
game.
down to the pool, put on his swimming shorts, and then he'd have a smaller bag where in there he had 400,000. He'd be like, midweek profits are killing me. I'll bag 400. Except bafo, only pino colada, me. You understand? He'd give the guy like a stack of money. He was making viral content.
Yeah.
Smart. He'd record all of those videos at 5 different locations in 5 different outfits with different amounts of money one day. We were escorting him because he was moving with the cash. That's why he wanted the bodyguards. Plus, it formed part of the look he was trying to project.
course.
And then he would post those videos over a period of a month,
Yeah.
pushing the conference, which is on the 7th of next month, sold out. Because black people, they see the money, they're like, yo,
That's the game, boy.
It was the same money. Because the next day we would take him back to the bank and he would deposit. That's
Shout
it.
out to the
and
game.
he said to me, Mina, ngiphila impilo ya 10 million, 1 million. And I was like, you are actually not that dumb. You just can't speak English.
Sure. Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, Stratford, Oakmont. Anyways, I thought these Forex boys were going to become something special. If you get into a space and you're willing to, because this is what happens with a lot of the Nigerian scammers.
Yeah.
You get into a space, you have big balls, like your 19-year-old boy, and you try something out. And they met a lot of people. Because now every politician, rich black entrepreneur is like, saying, Forex. So you meet them. And somewhere along the line, you meet a human being and you're like, Lentwana might not be doing the things, but I know him, I like him. Let me bring him into what I'm doing. And I thought some of these Forex boys, I'm going to mention some of the names. I don't know if it's one of the Oaks and you don't have to confirm. You had Ruchabulani Ngobo, Cash Flow. You had Prince NRB, Prince Mazibugo. You had Usandile Shezi. I think he'd drive a Ferrari at some point. Kempo Takada would come with Bitcoin. I thought these guys at some point would get into some serious business. Maybe be in tenders or be put on the boards of some companies to say, you're brave, you're willing to be seen out there, you move around, you've got a deep network.
Letabo.
The Lighty billionaires. Who's Letabo?
Man, what is this?
There was that billionaire's kid whose father was also something. I think he was on the like Rich Kids of Josie or something.
Man.
Anyways,
Forgot his name, so don't worry me. But anyway, I think if I had to say it, you'd be like, yeah, that guy, he definitely gave that energy.
sure.
But all of them are Pelela code. You know why?
Ref Wayne as well.
You know why? Because when you are making money, right, and I say this as a former money maker, it's difficult to see the money you're losing. So you will be making 2 million rand a month, right? And people will come to you and they'll say, yo, with that 2 million, you should be putting 1 million into this. And you'll be like, fuck that, dog. I'm making 2 million a month. What the fuck, bro? You know, I'm making 2 mil. My life is costing me 1 mil. In fact, now I want a Rolex. I want this, I want that, I want that, I want that. I just consume, right? That money. You don't notice that you could be investing, living off 1 million and using 1 million towards something more sustainable because it's that quick, easy come, easy go money. And those guys were impossible to convince of what you're saying because they were making too much money doing the Forex, especially when you come from a background of zero financial literacy, zero financial education. You are essentially like the soccer players who all amount, 90% of whom amount to nothing and end up dead broke in their 30s. DJs, artists, and famous people, they make all this money, they're driving all these cars, and then they all end up at the same place. Is that you and I can look at it now with the gift of hindsight and say, I really thought they would have never. And it's sad, but it's not white people doing it, fam.
You wanted to say something about Doge?
You know what I mean? On that example that Tibbs I was making earlier, who's doing it? So who are we? You understand? Who's losing here? You know, when all these narratives are pushed, that's what I always think. Think to myself, you know, the people that are going to lose here because you put out a tweet announcing a very big deal on land are not white people. Because they're going to go, when there's fuck all to eat, who's left behind? Mugabe gave farms to people in Zimbabwe. Who is starving now? It's not the whites. They are here. And they are fine. What I was going to say about Doge, and I must also tell you, just on that Zim example, do you remember Ian Smith?
Yes. These are big boys.
Right. Ian Smith, the president of Rhodesia. There's a very famous interview. Well, it's not famous, but it was famous at the time. He did with William Buckley. William Buckley traveled to Rhodesia to come and sit with Ian Smith to push the UN, US, UK agenda, which was, hey man, stop oppressing the blacks, you fucking racists. What's wrong with you people? We won't lift the sanctions because you guys hate blacks, right? That's the narrative.
Yeah.
They did the same thing to P.W. Botha and John Foster in their interviews. They came here from BBC to come and push a narrative that, hey, stop oppressing the blacks. You understand? And that's a very simple way to look at it. It did us a disservice as black people because the interviewer was here to push a narrative. He wasn't actually here to find out anything. Do you know how fucked up it is to watch that John Foster interview from 1968 to whenever the fuck Verwoerd died? This guy in the interview says to William Buckley, no, Chief, what you fail to understand is if we do what you are asking us to do and we say, okay, guys, fuck it, take everything, we're out. What will happen is you'll have the whole of Malawi, Zimbabwe, he makes examples of African countries, migrant labor coming into South Africa to take employment away from the local labor who should be getting it. It's a quote I saw on TikTok that they've excerpted from that interview. And he says it to say that if you give advanced industries that have been developed over a period of 50 years by people who have a vested interest in those industries, have spent the money, time, effort, energy, capital, and skills development in developing the skills needed to run those industries. If you take all of that stuff and you just give it to unskilled people who deserve it more, it's going to fail.
It's a fact.
You understand? And they were like, no, remember, because we're not allowed to ask questions, like in your Zuma example, he's a racist. Fuck it. He's a racist. Crime against humanity. Let's not listen to anything he fucking says. Bruh. the man's interview, if you watch it today, it's actually sad. It's sad because he was right. We are in the situation he predicted in 1968. And now it's like, should we just ignore that he was right? Or should we jump on the narrative and say, no, in fact, whites are so evil that they planned the interview to plan the plan that they then planned. And now we're in the plan. It's fucking white people and blacks built America.
They
No,
planned everything.
no, I'm sorry. I'm not an idiot. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to what the man says and I'm going to practically apply it to what I see in front of me. Why is there no water in Fourways? Because there's too many fucking complexes. And Deep Sloot is out of control because it was allowed to get out of control.
Yeah.
So if you've got 4 million people shitting into a system designed for 1 million people, the fucking system is going to collapse.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. It was never built for that.
Yeah, was it built for anything, Jay?
No, but of course, when you develop a new area, you've got to put all that infrastructure in place. You can't just develop the area and be like, whatever, fuck it. You know, and it's I've got a friend who's in student accommodation, right, in the Vaal. And they built student accommodation, and then obviously it's an opportunity to make money from students who need a place to stay and NSFAS. And there is hundreds of student accommodations coming up there, already up there, thousands. They are housing something like 8,000 students, but they still need rooms for another 16,000. At this 8,000 juncture, I was there because I was with him to oversee the building of their new one. It was a 4-bedroom house, which they've converted into a 32-room dormitory. Guess what was the problem?
Sewage.
Sewage.
Yeah, no.
On that block,
100.
the plumber guy who came said, boss, is not going to work. We're going to run sewage into this line, but this line is blocked. It's blocked because on this street, there's 108 rooms, 140 rooms, like that, in a row. It wasn't designed to handle that
Infrastructure
capacity
planning
of
is
shit.
one of our huge weaknesses.
Boom.
Huge.
Why?
Things like
Who is in charge?
traffic. Just traffic. Car traffic tells you that
Four
there's
ways
some
again.
planning that's missing.
Yeah, when you
Four ways
That's
is fucked.
4 ways and that one entry and exit as if it's a kasi.
I vote for 4 ways independence. Cut them off. Let them fucking stay that side. Move everything we need this side.
There's literally two, as I complain about this all the time, and I don't get it because this is not rocket science. It's called Winnie Mandela now. It used to be William Nicol. It's the only way in and out of 4 ways, as if it's a township, like Forslow and that shit.
Boom.
You on the other it was designed. It was apartheid planning to say blacks can only get in and out one way.
You can get in via Rivonia, Witkoppen, but it's also a
but that's
clusterfuck.
long.
No, it's traffic.
I've tried it.
You've got 2 bridges on the sides here, Douglasdale and the other side towards Polshoff, where you could easily just
Link. Yeah.
just to ease the flow. Like it's
But
I think
anyway,
they
here
solved
we
at
are.
least some of them. They solved Allendale. Remember, Allendale was also a pain, man.
they solved it with New Road.
Yeah.
With New Road.
So New Road, no,
I
but even
fucking
the
hate
highway
Oh
it.
yeah,
itself.
Allendale was they redid
was
they
huge.
broadened
They
it
redid
and
the
they
whole-
it splits.
Oh.
Freeway. Before even the Mall of Africa, because they realized, good, la.
Midrand, Honeydew, North Riding. 4 ways. I'd never live in those places.
Bro, North Riding there by Jackal Creek, Eagle Canyon.
That's like a sewage pipe. That highway there is where Makaka in the form of traffic gets fucking stuck every day, and then the robots are down. So you're like, nothing is
Petu,
Did you want to say something about Doge?
I want to say something about Doge. On your Doge example, Trump has installed Elon, despite the media's best efforts.
Sorry, Elon has installed Trump as president.
No.
And then Trump installed Elon
Is it?
as Doge.
Man, akancane, bongani bingwa. Hey, yes.
But Elon Musk funded Trump's campaign, right?
No, he didn't.
He didn't fund his campaign.
No, he didn't.
I think it's like $300 million or something.
Yeah, but Trump raised way more money than what Elon put
Okay,
in.
so Elon,
in any case, wait.
Elon installed Trump as president,
Right.
and then Trump installed
So,
Elon as Doge.
Trump and Elon,
Which is not an
let's
official department.
call them equals then, if you like, on the campaign trail.
No, go for it.
Trump's promise was, I'm going to do this. And Elon's promise was, I'm going to run Doge. That's it. He had one promise. Trump said, fix the wall, ICE illegal immigrants kicked out, LGBTQ laws and transgender. What do I do? I'm going to fix that shit. Trump made all the promises that he's now acting on. He undid all of Biden's executive orders. Okay. Keystone Pipeline, all drill, baby, drill, all of these things that have been stifling drilling. And remember, when that comes online and America starts producing oil at those volumes again, the price of oil is going to go down. And that's great. But we'll still be paying 20 Rand a litre for diesel because we're dumb cunts.
Nothing ever changes in this country when the oil price changes.
Of course
it's
not.
Fucking
Because
mind-blowing.
you know who makes the money from the sale of petroleum. Let me drink my komish.
Yeah, Elon Musk spent $277
You know
million
me,
for
I'm
Trump.
just a laborer, bro. Right?
Sure.
Okay. When he said in the promises for what Doge is going to do, Elon is doing, at least for 28 days so far, he's doing exactly what he said they were going to do. He came in with a fresh team of people who weren't there before to come in and audit all of the shit that they've been doing. And lo and behold, they are finding more shit than there is time to even declare. Go on Doge's Twitter feed. Everything that they find, they put there. Hey, boss, it's non-stop. It looks like WhatsApp notifications in the work group. It's just like this because they are finding so much shit. Okay? If Elon, a year from now, 2 years from now, or sometime in this Trump presidency, starts also taking money, taking contracts, and unduly benefiting from his Doge position, it's going to be a problem.
Yes.
But up until now, he hasn't done that.
Sure.
I'm not saying he won't, but I highly doubt he will. Because Elon is worth 300 billion. Really, he doesn't strike me as the type of guy who wants to make more money.
He does to me.
But he does,
but I hear you.
I don't.
Is a tender
No,
though, guys.
no,
This
but
is
the
what
thing
people
is,
said about Cyril.
No.
He's a billionaire. He won't.
Let me tell you why.
The guy likes
Musk
power
is
and
a
power
billionaire.
needs money.
Yes, but he's got more than enough of it already.
on.
But my thing is, all of the companies that he's in will continue to grow in value. Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter.
Yeah.
These are not companies that are going to regress in terms of their growth trajectory. So even if he doesn't take a single extra contract from Doge, he's still the only person in the world kind of doing what he's doing, bro. That's going to continue to make him money. So he will make more money invariably. It's not going to stop.
Yeah.
However, I don't think his plan is to say, I currently make rockets, I make fucking Starlink, and I make Twitter. And remember, X is becoming the everything app. Soon it's going to have banking and everything else on it. And I also run, what's the other one? It's rockets, space, Tesla, sorry. I also make electric vehicles.
Company.
Right? So I've got these four. These four are growing
Noted.
nicely, right? Let them operate. Does Elon really need a contract supplying bullets? Does Elon really need a contract fixing sewage? Does Elon really need what's on offer? Do you understand? Like, he'd have to get something in these four industries, in my opinion. Unless Elon starts a petroleum company tomorrow for drill, baby, drill. In which case, he can. Because like the Gupta example, remember when the Guptas came in and said, this is what we want to do, they funded that shit themselves. Yes, they got paid from Eskom and they made money from all the tenders that they got. But honestly speaking, they arrived here and they were billionaires. So if you go to Optimum Mine and you actually see what they did there, you'll realize that these motherfuckers were not playing, but that's never reported on. The system at Optimum Mine, from when you come in with a truck to load coal, to where the coal is mined, to where the stockpiles are held, to where you go and collect, how it prevents you from going to another one and stealing coal. There's many systems in place. I won't go into detail, but the Guptas upgraded that mine to suit a 2020 vision.
Yeah.
You understand? Compared to some other mines that I've been to where it just operates the way it's always operated.
And their coal was cheaper,
Yes.
by the way.
Thank you. Their coal was cheaper. Their system
quality.
was more efficient. And all of that stuff about, but they were delivering rocks and stuff. Listen here, at Eskom on a daily basis, hundreds of trucks come in. There's no way to actually accurately predict who delivered rocks and who didn't. That's why the system is perfect, is because if you want to take advantage of it, you can, unfortunately, but not at Optimum Mine. That place was amazing.
Just optimal.
No, it was optimal.
Hey.
But that's never reported. Okay. So we know now that in the state capture thing, the Guptas came in, they funded all the stuff, they bought these people and they paid this and they paid that and they made Tutuzani a partner, whatever the narrative is, and then they extracted money from the state. But we don't know, did they actually do the job or not? We know that they did. We know that the coal was cheaper.
Yeah.
You understand? So these are all things that are not mentioned when the media reports on it,
course.
unfortunately.
Media is crazy. Eh?
Yeah.
The fact
Now
that-
you've got Zuma's installations of people that he said, let me Doge the place. The problem is, when Tutu Mieni came into SAA and Tutu Mieni saw that 3% of the suppliers are white and there's no transformation,
Black, sorry.
Blacks.
the media, how they attacked Tutu Mieni, and this will be Elon's Achilles heel,
Yeah.
is what else did they do while they were in? You see, if I say I'm going to put Penuel in charge of XYZ division, and Penuel is doing it well, and he's sorting out all the fucking land grabbers, is Penuel also taking money on the side? Is Penuel also giving contracts to Debza within his department? Because that's a fuck up.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that, you diminish your credibility to zero, shatters. And now it's like all of that good work that you did and all of the good stuff that you exposed doesn't matter anymore, because you were also taking cheek bribe packs from Bosasa.
Yeah.
Now we have a problem. You see? The same with Koko, the same with Brian Molefe, and all the people that you mentioned, is that now skeletons started coming out to say, but this guy also did this. Now we ignore the fact that there was 2 years of no load shedding because he's a thief. That's the fuck up.
Yeah.
The Guptas, their coal was cheaper. They upgraded Optimum to fucking the best mine in the country. They delivered on the coal the contracts that they were given. You understand? They ticked all the boxes and they completed all the tasks, but they also had that Astina dairy farm thing, which was a fuck up.
Yeah.
You see, because they had to give whoever the fuck that clown was his piece. Now it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because when you pay bribes and you control departments, there'll always be a stupid puss there that you give, and then he buys a Golf 7 GTI. Godwa. Usebenza like AK-18. He's the access control guy. Now you're like, I'm fair to. Like the Bosasa thing. This fucking idiot went to go and buy a type a R-line 2-reg. And then it's like, John, you can't afford that.
Yeah.
Go Gucci. How Dombiak Goga Makuche Manitengelo Bani.
True.
You understand? That's weird. Even Maskandi artists are singing about the fact that we see your chick booking flights. Who the fuck is booking them for? There's a track I uploaded the other day.
Whose track is it?
Limit Nala.
Okay, no
It's
problem.
called Amaguchi. You must listen to
Sure.
it. It's like Zuma's plan let him down because the individuals he put on in his plan were people at the end of the day.
They were hungry, those
They
people.
were hungry.
Hayton has said this before, that Uzuma was never a money guy. The guy is a socialist.
He
Essentially. It's
really
just
isn't a money
the
guy.
people
And
around him
yeah.
were the Popeyes that
And
messed up.
I'll stand on that. You know, like people always come at me on Twitter and they're like, you're a Zuma supporter and whatever. And you know, I separate the individual from the politician.
Yeah.
Like I do with Cyril Ramaphosa, like I do with Gayton McKenzie, all of them.
Sure.
And Jacob Zuma, if you ever have the pleasure of meeting him and shaking his hand, uhlala phansi naye, ukhulume naye, you cannot leave that experience saying, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
There's no way. And if you do, then you are a puss.
No, that's
He's
a fact.
not that oak. And I think in the time and the engagements I've had with him, which are more than the average person, he doesn't strike me as a money guy.
He's not a money
You
guy.
can see
It's
it.
very easy to
Yeah,
see a money
no,
guy,
no.
man, especially over a long period.
Yeah.
Something leaks somewhere.
And then like
Something
there's all
like,
that
let's say,
stuff.
Dwana, you must see my farm there, and he's not that. There's nothing that he flexes. Nothing.
And what I hate is that now we know from America. You know, I didn't really give a fuck about all this shit until I saw what they did to Trump and I saw how the American system works.
Yeah.
And if you want a crash course in it, it's this USAID thing, USAID, because AID does not stand for aid. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
It's got absolutely
I've
nothing
heard
to do
people
with aid.
saying USAID, and I wondered if it was like code for something
the
else.
fact that it aids people is incidental. USAID actually stands for
Was
Here
it
it is,
Clinton
yeah.
and his wife that came up with it, no? What is it? Was Clinton, no?
I remember reading this. I think it was George Bush.
it's
George Bush.
no, from before, boss. This thing is from like the 60s,
I
bro.
was thinking of PEPFAR.
It's the United States Agency for International Development. Now, sometimes that development takes place in the form of aid. We help you with ARVs.
John F. Kennedy.
But it doesn't, AID is not aid.
Now I see Trevor Noah also, his foundation online. You'll see that one of the donors there is USAID.
Well.
Ooh, and Trevor's been quiet.
Yeah, people have said that he's quiet.
Yeah, but
this is where Bush comes
he's
in.
a quiet guy. Like I feel like, we always remember the first time I came here, Penuel was asking me to speak for coloureds, and I said, fuck that. I feel like sometimes we put Trevor under undue pressure to be our shining star. He's not that oak.
I'll explain the Trevor thing. So PEPFAR, which is the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which falls under USAID. That one was George Bush in 2003.
Well, that's when AIDS became a thing.
You come from the US, you know the richest people on earth. You played tennis with one of them.
No, let me come in with the Trevor thing. I know Warras is trying to defend him. Warras, this is why we'll
same
speak
with
about
him. I've got nothing personal against the guy. You understand? Sure. It's not that I'm trying to defend him, but like I know people that are very close to him. Sizwe is my good friend, and he's very good. He's not my brother. I don't even know the oak. I've met him on 2 or 3 occasions. Sizwe is close with that guy. Sure. You understand? And if you know Sizwe, you'll understand how him and Trevor are friends. Sizwe is a weird guy. He's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people think he's arrogant. Some people think he's an asshole.
Sure.
But he's not. He's Sizwe. And when you get to know him, you realize, he's
just different.
He's just different. And it might not be your different or Penuel's different or my different even. But he's my bra of 13, 14 years. I've known him since I started at Y. And Trevor, I feel like because he's Trevor Noah and he's the biggest star we've ever produced, there's this expectation that he should weigh in on stuff for us. He really doesn't have to. And I don't blame him. I mean, I fucking weigh in from time to time and I'm a mini star. And these fucking idiots that you have to deal with on here when you try to weigh in from a sensible, logical point of view will call you every fucking, you're a racist, you're me. You're a misogynist. You are fucking, what's the other one? What again? It's the one where you objectify women. Misogynist.
Misogynist.
Yeah, you're an idiot. What is your qualification? Are you a doctor? Are you a political what? No, I'm just a very intelligent person. I know I'm intelligent. I matriculated with fantastic results. I studied a hard thing. I did well in it, but I left because I wanted to leave because I was also a fuckbag. Do you understand? I'm not perfect, but I would like to have my opinion on my Twitter page about the fact that tweeting the land expropriation bill was a bad idea. Yo, son, let me live. If I want to say something about Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and I've got an opinion, let me operate. If you don't agree with it, that's also fine. But there's this whole thing where you have to deal with the online hate. You know what I'm saying?
Twitter's one of the worst.
It's not for everyone, eh?
Yeah.
People really, that shit really like hits them hard. I was having this chat with my girl the other day. She has this thing where the one we spoke about on the Penuel on the last podcast where I said I arrived with a serious white thing.
Black coffee or something,
Yeah. I sent it to Black Coffee. There was a page that was on TikTok and that thing went viral. People were sending it to me. Some dude at I think I told Penuel, some dude at the engine garage was like, Muwe. Ubuno Black Coffee. Bohama nomlungu serious. Yeah, him lawyer. And I was with her. I said, you see? No, serious. And we're having this conversation to say, like, you really have to develop thick skin.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to be a public figure.
Yeah.
If you want to be somebody that is in the public eye and everywhere you go, people greet you and people, when you say anything, it blows up because you are you.
Yeah.
You have to have a thick skin and you really have to not give a fuck what people think about you. You understand what I'm saying?
That's tough, especially for your state of mind.
Very tough.
You might think you're fine, but you don't know when you'll crash.
And it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Me now, as you see me now, I don't give a fuck what people think about. I don't apologize for anything that I say. And we came to the conclusion that sometimes maybe you need to apologize for the way that you say
100%.
things. I might be very crass and come off as misogynistic in the way that I speak about women sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I forget that we are talking to an audience of 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. That's what's up. 200, make sure.
Yeah, bro.
200,000.
200,000.
Thank you.
No, I saw your celebration you put up for the other page.
Yeah, that's the other page.
In any case, I forget about that and I realize, Gucci, ngihleli nomkhaya wami uPenuel yabo sikhule sonke. He understands because he knows where we come from, so when I'm speaking to him I can speak freely. But I also believe that the audience wants to see me speak as myself freely.
That's a
I
fact.
shouldn't have to censor myself in the way that I speak because khona babukeli.
Yes.
Listen to what I'm saying. You understand? Listen to the message. Don't be upset about the messenger and the way that the messenger is talking.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her that you need to, in order to access that level of freedom of thought, yo, son, is a hard one because they'll
the most
come at you.
expensive thing on earth, by the way.
And they'll say fucked up shit, man. They say fucked up shit, and then
Kanye
I
West,
get
Elon
mad
Musk,
and I
Joe
reply to these motherfuckers and I say, hey, yo, puss, fuck you. You understand? And people are like, geez, like my mom will send me screenshots and say, Auntie Gail sent me this. Take this down. And I'm like, no, Ma. You understand? Because she also knows that's how I am.
Yeah.
You understand? Is that like, I won't stand for it. And even if it's a bot on Twitter or whatever, someone is reading that thread and they must know that you must stand for the positions that you take. Even if you lose your job on radio. You've got to do it.
Jeez, no, that's not good advice. It's good advice for you. And
It's
people
good
like you that
advice for
don't mind.
me, but
Yeah.
honestly, and I'm not the biggest thing or the biggest thought leader, but that's what we need from our people. I can't have the entire lineup of 702 pushing the same narrative. That's actually nonsense.
They have the
have
same,
you
they have
read
the same employer.
Yeah,
with
but
the same
that's
agenda.
my point. Yeah, but then we're not going to fucking learn anything as a society.
That's why people watch
I
podcasts.
remember John Robbie, eh?
FM, Power FM, all of them.
No,
They're listening
dude.
to the same person.
One thing.
But you guys just said the power of media. It's
Yeah, but-
important that they keep the narrative. You can be angry, go set up a podcast and come with something alternative.
John Robbie, Kolani Kuala.
Yeah.
Those guys, when they were on 702, they were not those oaks.
So
You
they
understand?
learned the lesson at 702 and they were like, no more of that.
No, but the current lineup, honestly, all of them just push the same thing, and
They
it's
must.
really boring. Yeah, they must. I get it, but it's like, yo, okay.
I want
Same with
to
News
go
24
back. I
and
know
these
you've moved. I want to go
outlets.
back.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah doesn't owe us to explain anything about his life at all. I have to say that categorically for everyone to know. But we have to look at the context. This is the same Trevor Noah that was running the Daily Show and that was bashing the fuck out of Trump for many years.
Yeah, but that was his job.
Yeah, we can argue that. I guess I'm saying which he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But at times where his name comes up in certain things or when something has to do with, because he'd also criticize, whether the Daily Show or through stand-up comedy.
Whether Donald Trump or Jacob Zuma.
Sure, he'd criticize certain people. And then at certain times, he's not offering the same with the Joe Biden. He's not offering the same with the Kamala. He's not offering the same with Cyril. And people watching are like, "Ntona's tweleng awe, you're funny as hell, you're fucking intelligent." But we're seeing these blind spots. If you were in this space doing this, you'd be like, "Oh, did you guys see that? Hey, people are fucking getting USAID." Now that you're a beneficiary, nothing. I don't know if another stand-up comedian must ask questions and we laugh with them. Would say that's the question mark that people are raising. Would say, we've seen you with the Bill Gates, we've seen you being brought to the White House with the Joe Bidens. Now all of a sudden, somehow you're no longer on the Daily
time
Show
maybe
and it's looking shady. For those of us who are just watching and like, Antwana,
For the viewers.
that's all.
At that time, we paid you for an ad. Remember, was it 2 years ago? Where
Yeah,
he
last
was-
year, the year before.
That ad where he was like the face of South
Yeah,
Africa.
SA Tourism.
Yes,
SA Tourism.
yes.
Maram Fetu. Orare, something
Yeah, but remember, guys, if you watched
Being unfair, then.
all of the nighttime
I don't think we're being
comedians,
unfair.
I don't think you're being unfair, but at the same time, I would like you to just consider this. The Daily Show wasn't the only nighttime comedy show or daily talk show, if you will. And all of them pushed what Trevor was pushing.
Sure.
The only one that didn't was Gutfeld on Fox, which is a channel that sometimes would have Trump's back. You know, it was remember, it's Democrats and Republicans.
Sure. I know
And
Tucker Carlson was also a Trump guy.
And he got fired.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even a Trump guy. He was a right-wing guy.
Sure.
He was a right guy. And Trevor and everybody else, they were left guys.
They were left-wing, yeah.
And I understand it because, again, I'll go back to that example I made earlier, is that if the Guptas or Glencore or Anglo, any white monopoly capital, came to you, whether it was in 94 when you became a government minister or now with the Penuel podcast, and they put down 100 bars. Me, I'm taking that 100 bars. Fuck you guys.
Sure.
No one has come to me with the offer. So maybe fortunately, I've never had to question how principled
That's
am
why
I
you're still
really.
talking shit.
Exactly. No, it's not even that. It's that like, Obviously, I do other stuff. It's not like I'm fucking puzzling. I mean, I'm smart.
But I'm saying,
but I would like 100 bars.
You can't talk shit about those people giving you that money.
Who?
Is what we're saying.
Oh, maybe Trump will give me the money and I should just continue fucking wearing my Trump hat. I don't know. But when the offer is made to the individual, right, and it's like, you've got the Daily Show, you are the host now, but it comes with these requirements. I don't hate him for saying, yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Even maybe it is his politics and maybe it is what he thinks. But that what you expect from him in terms of equal
coverage
or
criticism
of all South African presidents.
Yeah.
Bro, it's easier to make jokes about Zuma than it is to make about Ramaphosa.
That's a
maybe.
fact.
As a comedian. You
Not
know
just
what I mean?
him, all the other comedians have
100%.
struggled with stuff.
It's also easier to fucking attack Trump, which was proven over a 6-year period in America, than it is to attack Joe Biden, good old Joe. You understand?
For everyone, yeah.
Yes. As Doge is revealing more and more about the Biden administration and the shit that was going on under it, it's not even a laughing matter. But some of the shit is really funny. There was like 20 million paid for the testing of cocaine's effect on hamsters in a hamster fighting league. The fuck? There was another 20 million or whatever million paid for Cuban transgenders learning about pottery in Morocco. Like it's the stuff is it's funny because it's so ridiculous, right? But that's money that is going somewhere. Now, when you look at the size of these USAID checks, and if they're on Trevor's website and he was offered that to actually do something. You know, let's not also say they paid him off. Maybe he had a project in South Africa. Let's say Penuel has a project in South Africa. You want to build a school for farming.
Yes.
And USAID says, sweet, we'll give you $50 million towards your school. You might really want to build the school. Are you still going to take the deal if USAID says we're going to send you 50 for the school, but you need to send 20 to Warras to destabilize the colored community in Westbury? You're getting 30 bar to build your school. Are you taking the 50 or not?
Moral dilemma.
Moral dilemma.
Moral has it. By the way, Trevor...
That's $30 million, my friend.
By
the
way,
morals are out the window here.
Trevor's foundation actually does a lot of good work in the education space. I just need to say, he does a lot of good work.
And I'm saying that when USAID gave him the check was fulfilling a goal of his with his foundation.
Yeah.
It's not like he just took the check and bought a Lambo.
Sure.
You see. But there are many in that USAID list that are coming out. That's why Trump halted it. Yeah. It's not about ARVs.
Yeah.
It's really not about ARVs. There are billions being spent on projects all over the world that don't make sense. Like the money is being sent to Afghanistan, right? For farming, but only the farming of opium poppy. What? That's the base ingredient for heroin.
Yes.
So why the fuck is USAID farming the global heroin production? That's a problem. And it's more than ARVs, I'll tell you now. I don't know the number offhand, but it's more than we get for ARVs. Yeah. You got to switch it off. You got to close the tap. Because now we need to investigate, what are they farming this opium for?
Does it put America first?
You see, it doesn't put America first at all. If anything, the fentanyl crisis in America is like really, really bad. And they need to now start tracking where is this problem coming from. And I feel like all of us would be lying if we said that offered the check that Trevor got, the platform that he got, and the opportunity to be who he became, we'd say no.
Anyone who says they would have said no is lying.
Is lying.
Or they've got a bigger check from somewhere else.
Dave Chappelle says, success in one of his specials, he says, success will take you where character cannot sustain you. You see? Because now when that 50 bar is here, Penuel, we're taking that money, boss. If I'm in the meeting with you and you say no,
you guys are going to betray me, man. Yeah, Warras.
Boss, you know...
it's so sad what happened to Pen last week, dog. But look, I'm still happy with the deal.
Exactly. Now imagine that.
Let's send some money to his family because that was fucking sad. That's my boy. That's my homie.
Can I hit you with a hypothetical?
Hit me.
Right. Penuel says no to the deal. Next thing, Penuel gets taken out.
Here's Zanzu.
No, Penuel gets taken out. Maupu manjela. Tumeli inkabi.
Yeah.
Imagine if in the pre-negotiations to Codesa, something similar was tabled and Chris Hani said no. I'm out. And everyone else said, I'm in. What's going to happen?
Obvious.
You see, what's going to happen?
Let's shut this down.
And the interview that they traveled all the way to Poland to fucking do gave us no answer.
Annika Lawson.
But if we put 2 and 2 together, you understand what I'm saying?
The guy called the ANC 3 times in the early 80s, 90s, and like a year before he died. It's like, James, what you're doing is wrong. 3 times.
And, you know, a lot of those conversations, just to close that point, because Aniti, we started this podcast saying that, like, you know, if the whites go, the place will fall apart. In the Ian Smith example, he was saying, we cannot, as Rhodesia, just let, well, at the time, I think it was like 4 million black Zimbabweans and, I don't know, 400,000 whites, Rhodesians. He was like, no. The people currently are happy in their, what is it called? Tribal lands, like Bantu stands. You know, the Shonas are happy they're in Shona land, and then Ndebeles are happy they're in Ndebele land and whatever. And we work with the chieftains and the leaders, and we are building schools, and we're encouraging these type of programs. And over, like, I think he was speaking like in 10-year periods, this is the plan. That's how it has to be done. We know because we live here. This is our country. We know these black people better than you, and this is what we propose. And they were like, nah, that's apartheid. Fuck you. Let them vote now. And he was like, how can we let them vote? How can we let them participate in a system that the vast majority have no understanding of how it works? You are listening to the few leaders who do, and they are insisting that those same leaders who understand how the system works want to manipulate the system to their own benefit. When we say yes, we won't do that, because everybody's going to lose, not just the white people who can really take all of their assets and fuck off. It's the black people that you think you are representing with your fucking narrative-driven interview you came here to do that are going to lose. Stop meddling in the politics of countries you have no understanding how shit functions here. And John Foster said a similar thing, where he said, the people in the Bantustans are operating Bantustan rule of law, and they are governing themselves for the most part. We are in the business of developing and industrializing this country and our military and whatever. Because remember, his job in the interview was not to mention or push a narrative of how oppressive apartheid is and how limiting, obviously. Yeah. But if we just listen to what he's saying and say, okay, cool, that sounds like a cool plan, the interviewer then needs to interject and say, cool, I hear you, but where does your plan include taking some of the people from the Bantustans where they govern themselves and they're so happy and incorporating them into the system of development?
100%.
So that this country, which is actually theirs, eventually becomes theirs, but it goes into the hands of people who are skilled enough, educated enough, experienced enough, and qualified enough to run it. You see, the interviewer didn't ask that because he was here to push a narrative, and John Foster was prepared for him because he wasn't an idiot. And we now live in a time where the argument is coming up again to say, yeah, the whites must go, fuck it, we'll sort it out. No, I'm not. I'm in Benjamin. I'm not prepared to take that gamble. I'm also not prepared to give the custodianship of this land that will be redistributed in Ntolistan Sam. I don't want the fucking clowns that have been running the place since 94 handling that. They fucked everything up. Yeah. They fucked up SAA, they fucked up ISCO, they fucked up Penuel, they fucked up Eskom, they fucked up the ports, they fucked up Transnet, they fucked up everything. Literally. And we are saying we must give this very important transformative project that we've been waiting for, land justice. We must give it to them. I'd have to be a fucking stupid puss to agree to that. And if you want them to run it, you also a stupid puss. You're not going to get anything from these clowns. They've ruined everything. Show me the board of Musk, Big Balls, and the other IT geniuses that he's got running Doge. Put that team together for me and say, these are the pras that are going to run the land. And if it doesn't include Afrikaners, I'm out. They have been running the land for 300 years, where they have to be involved. If you outvolve them, you're doing yourself a disservice. And Moletsi Mbeki has a lecture on this I think that he did there for the Stellenbosch Mafia or whoever was in attendance. But he speaks about the fact that you cannot just take people who have skills built over 300 years and say, fuck you guys, you out, we are in now. And I can speak like this because from my, let me be a fucking lefty, lived experience, I have Afrikaans children. My baby mama is Afrikaans. And her family, when I first came on the scene, didn't like me. Let me go with that. Because they were racists. They didn't like it. They didn't like the idea. But they love my children now and the rest is history. We've moved on. I don't want to fucking take their land and burn their house. I've also moved on. Do you understand? And I sit with the old man and we have very long chats because he is an engineer by profession. He's a artisan, boiler maker, fitter and turner. They built the boilers at Eskom.
Yes.
You understand? He's old now. He's like 80. But when you sit and you listen to that time and he says, when they called us to come and build these fucking things, they took us from here in Joburg South and they sent us to school to learn how to weld and learn how to do these things. And then we went there and we started working. And I started at this position and eventually I was a foreman and this is what I ran. I also built Spacial when they were building Spacial and I built Tutuga and I built Machuba and I built Kusile, whatever. By the time Kusile was being built, he'd been kicked out because he was white. So he'd lost the position he had and he went to private sector work and he worked for a company that consulted. They ended up landing a massive contract during the Kusile build because it was a fuck up. They'd spent billions fucking the place up. And by the time this Opa and his bras came in, this is now when he's in his 60s, as a foreman, having the experience of the previous power station builds, he says, they were paying me more in a year than I earned in 10 years.
I was about to say, the guy you fired would have been more affordable, highly skilled. You fire him, then you call the guys.
Now, was that dumb or was that dumb? It's because Moletsi Mbeki's example, you're taking highly skilled people, highly competent people with actual experience executing this project. And you're saying they must go because they are white. That is the stupidest fucking thinking I've ever heard. It's why I'm not a colored anymore. Because as soon as we start race bracketing things that actually need results because Fourways doesn't have water, we are fucked. Because Fourways won't have water. I'm not prepared to dismiss someone because he's a racist. Fuck him. He must work. I want his skills. I don't give two fucks if he wants to have sex with me or not. I'm not interested. Do you understand? I need his skills, bro. And in the security sector, you see it all the time. South Africa produces some of the finest security experts. I'm talking at a level of fucking private military contractors. Do you know what I mean? People that can be sent, 3,000 of them can go from here into Angola and fight 30,000. And a war that the Angolan government had been trying to fight for 3 years, they sort out in 3 weeks. These are not clowns. A lot of those people are still alive. Do you understand? They continued training and they've continued in the security sector. But when you're looking for a highly skilled security expert, because the Kardashians are coming to South Africa, the people that will bodyguard the Kardashians are white. You're not going to have Umtu there. Because Umtu has been hitting people in Hillbrow and at the stadium when we work. Umtu has never gone for any skills development of any kind to upgrade his skill set from being a fucking strong Zulu oak. You understand? Whereas some have. And then when you look at like the rates that they charge, I mean, I've got a friend, I think I sent you the screenshot, my friend in Poland. Bro, those guys are working on the Ukraine-Poland border. They were contracted the month that the war started and they were earning $6,000 a day to patrol a border and watch for Ukrainians that were jumping the fence. You know, and that shit ran for over a year. We don't have that because in a place where the crime is so high, we could develop that and we'd solve the crime because we've got enough of these oaks. I've got a group now with 400 bouncers, all Zulus, all Sira registered. But me, among Bapatala, I pay them as bouncers because they haven't developed at that level of skill. But the training facilities that we have, and some of the guys doing the training, they train farmers. They train the teams that protect the farms. You know, the guys, the tactical response teams. You must see the shit that these people are doing. House penetrates like fucking Call of Duty. Where are we? We are fucking throwing bricks.
I want to close this. We don't have much time and I won't be able to counter-argue everything you've said. I'm just going to leave this note because this is important. We will criticize the ANC for the past 30 years and their failures, and many white people will do the same. And whether it's your children's grandfather or other white people, they need to also introspect and ask themselves if they've actually transferred skills as well in the last 30 years.
100%.
Because there needs to be some accountability there to be like, okay, you were there were some black people there. You're saying they got rid of you because you were white. Well, sorry, that's fucked up. They shouldn't have done that. But what's your legacy while you were there? Did you train any of them, or were you also hogging the skills and those things for yourself? Which is something that, a conversation that's difficult, but we're going to need to have.
And we need to know those answers. It's a good point. That's why I say it's one of those where it's like, in the time that you were there, yes, who did you train? And when you say, but it's from both sides, because something in the security sector, and I heard it verbatim, is I was speaking to someone about when the SADF was disbanded. And I promise you, the attitude of a lot of the fucking Afrikaners that were kicked out of the army was like, fuck them, we'll never work for them.
Yeah.
They weren't kicked out like, you've lost your job.
Yeah.
It was like, Swartes in charge. For color.
Yeah.
And they wanted to leave. They were like, we'll never fight for those bastards, type of thing. Mandela also spoke about it. There's a old Ted Koppel interview that he did before CODESA, when he was still going around the world to say, keep up the sanctions. And he spoke about like the non-willingness to participate in a solution. That also does white people a disservice.
100%.
Because it's like you as that leader, that representative, that skilled person, you could do it for your people.
Yeah.
Right? In that, hey guys, I have these scarce skills that I can share with you and I can impart, but I need these people to be safe.
Yeah.
And I need this to be this assurance.
100%.
So an argument can be made that you guys haven't come forward and you don't want to help and you don't want to participate. So fuck you, we're signing this bill.
You'd rather set up a consulting firm, make lots of money instead of setting up, let's say, a school. You can still charge lots of money and actually upskill black kids so that the legacies of your future children are. But anyways.
Are secured. And on maybe our leaders that are signing the bill, you know how you spoke about like, is it arrogance or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, there's a case to be made that having come through the struggle, gone into exile, your whole life turned upside down, being a wanted person, knowing that if you get caught, you're going to get killed. It's a lot of stress to live under. Maybe it broke them. Maybe they are actually fucking damaged. That's why they talk like they're still in the liberation movement on the front lines of the Soviet Union. Like it's almost like, hey guys, we are free now. Have you joined us in this freedom, or are you still militant in your mind because you're like Rambo in the POW camp? Rambo couldn't come home either because when he came home, he thought he's still in the war. And in the same way, it's like maybe these guys haven't actually gotten over it. And now they're gambling with all our lives because they're like, oh, you motherfuckers. You're still carrying on.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
You check.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Dude, we're being led by damaged people.
Do we have 5 minutes? 5 minutes. What would you like your legacy to be? You know, while you were speaking, I wanted to say, you know what? Many times when I have conversations like the one we're having now, I feel like leaving social media, leaving what we're doing now, which is podcasting, and going to do something. Like being like, I think I have a certain set of skills. Oh, Liam Neeson. But I'll go farm. I'll be a mediocre farmer. I'll be a mediocre plumber, electrician, but let me actually go build something. Or should I maybe stay here and carry on with my voice and be like, let me try and inspire other kids to take up the trades and see if we can fundraise and highlight the institutions that are out there. But for you, especially considering the conversation we're having, what legacy would you like to leave? Because they'll be like, look, there were people, they never opened up the industry. You guys were there, but you decided to make noise on social media. Hey, why were you not building the country?
I'd love to, you know, I like to, before I do bold things, like say, you know, my legacy will be, I'd like to sort of build a legacy by example. In that anything that I do, I'd like to reach a stage or a level in that thing where people can say, this guy showed us.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? Whether it's in security, the businesses that I'm in, security, media, fucking television, whatever it is. I think I've got a very good, I think I've done well in all three of those, in terms of like radio, TV, you know, like I had a very good run.
Yeah.
So I'd like people, when they speak of me as a South African public figure or celebrity or whatever, they must say, fuck, we liked that guy. He was genuinely talented and genuinely deserved to be on. There's nothing worse than this unearned sort of fame and notoriety, where it's like, actually, that person was actually really cuck. I can't understand how they kept getting jobs. I've never bribed anyone for a job.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe they were all given on merit.
Sure.
And then there's things that I'd like to build. As you know, I'm very passionate in the security space. One of the places that we work is FNB Stadium. And I'm honored to work at FNB Stadium because something that I think is never spoken about is that that's the biggest stadium on the continent and the fourth biggest in the world. It
Fourth
hosts,
biggest
yes,
in
it
the world?
hosts the biggest football derby on earth. Chiefs Pirates. It's bigger than Man City, Man United. It's bigger than all of them.
I didn't fucking
in terms
know that.
of
That's crazy.
feet, viewers, attendees at the stadium.
Sure.
We sell 90,000 tickets for that game. The last Chiefs Pirates game was sold out 2 weeks in advance. So these are big numbers, and I feel like we don't brag about it enough as a nation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me to be on the security deployment that's there for those things, for your Chris Browns that come here and your flippin', I'd love Drake to come on, Beyonce to come, all of these big acts that are hosted elsewhere in the world. If I can be part of the team that works on that security deployment, I'll be happy in that space. Do you know what I mean? But also do something that matters and get the message out. Because I come from a media background. It should be that if I'm doing that, enough people need to know what I'm doing and know what we are doing there and what we're achieving. So everything that I do, I'd like to do well in it so that I'm coming from a credible position and bring it to the viewers or to the consumers of that information. And maybe it inspires someone or motivates someone to say, hey, this guy came from Guapanya, they're in Vryheid. And then I'd like to go back to Guapanya and Vryheid because we have land. My family has land. There's fuck all going on there. There's just people illegally occupying it. But I'd like to also go back there and, bro, I won't be a fucking exemplary farmer, but I'd like to farm something because it's arable land. I feel like, why should it go to waste? Someone should say, you know what, since this fucking land thing is such a big deal, let me leave something for my kids to say, this has been in our family since 1906. I'd hate to be the generation responsible for us losing it.
Sure.
You understand? Because a bill was signed.
Do you think, sorry, on that, thank you for sharing.
And I'd like to have 10 kids. But anyway.
What number you on now?
3 boys.
Udlala ma games.
Ngidlala kancane.
Udlala ma games.
Good, I want them in order. You know, gotta have a few. I've got 1 colored, 2 whites. I need a Ukrainian, few Zulus. You know how it goes, bro.
Do you think a lot of people that are passionate about, let's say, a nation or development will always have this thing that holds them back about, I don't think I've done enough for where I grew up?
Definitely. Especially when you return to where you grew up and you see that, like, you are celebrated, Maubuya. You know, like when I go back to Vryheid, it's a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
You know? And then I look at it and I'm like, hey. Not to say it's done a lot for me, but those people love me there, man.
Sure.
And like, what do I do for them? If I can. Obviously, if I can't, it's like, I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
But if it's like, if I can go back there, Mvusinto yethu, yabo?
At the very least.
Yes, yabo? Mvusa like Guapanya. Even if it's, like I say, a mediocre farm.
Sure.
Farming rabbits and cabbages. It's okay. At least I know I went back and I did something. I did what was within my means.
Sure.
Not just like come to Joburg and forget about where you come from.
We can't do that smarter. So I know I'm asking for myself now. We can't do that smarter where you're connecting with the mayor there, connecting with some of the wealthy guys there and being like, look, can you guys also check up on this place because this is my home type of situation? Or there's something about I need to go there and get my hands dirty.
I need to go there and at least do something so that when I approach the mayor or whoever, I'm coming from a position of actually having done something.
Yeah.
I don't think going there and saying, hey, I'm this guy, I'm from Joburg, let's work. I want to go there and say, hey, man, I'm this guy, I'm from Joburg, let's work. But this is what I've done on my own.
Yeah.
You know, so far. But in order to take it to the next level, I think I need your help. And then I think we can take what I've done and we can do it for the next person and the next person. And then this entire 50,000 hectares of land.
Yeah.
Mhlampe singavusa into ehambayo for the entire community of Vryheid. Because that would be something like we were making the Elon example. That wouldn't be something I'm doing for financial gain. I hope to have enough in what I'm doing here and the opportunities that have been presented so that isn't something that I have to make work or else I fucking go bankrupt.
Sure.
And on your farming example, your farming thing shouldn't be that either. Do you understand? I have a friend, he's very rich. He's got money like dust. And the other day we were laughing because he was busy in his garden with his grass, right? He's decided that there's no way that this grass can be dead.
Sure.
You know? So he went and he fucking bought the grass. He's like, I got the grass.
And the
I got the
fertilizer.
Zimbabwean. We operating.
Yeah.
Because he's got this guy from Zim that like, I think it's called Kikuyu. It's a type of grass, right? Apparently, these oaks are like the experts. And this guy is like, no, you're going to do it like this. And he's like, no. You just tell me what to do. Me nangzokupa. I'll dig, I'll put the grass, I'll put the fertilizer, I'll water it every day. It's like his pet project. Now, that grass is not going to make or break his life. But he's like, I've bought this house, this is my dream house. I've been living here for fucking 6 years and the grass has always been dead. Fuck it. I'm fixing it as a man, you know? So it's like you want to fulfill those type of projects because it's your passion and you want to do it with your own two hands.
Yeah.
You don't want to like be held down by some loan now from the bank and you have to pay back or you lose the land. I don't want to do it with that spirit, yeah.
Thanks, Warrick. Nothing else from you, gents? Happiness. Let's shut it down.
Debs,
Thank
I
you.
wanted to speak about the K Imam.
Okay, we're out.
Cut it, man. Cut, guys.